Chapter 4509. The power of the restriction quickly dissipated. Many experts from various factions surrounded Lin Feng from all directions. There were so many people there that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Obviously, these influential groups wouldn't let Lin Feng leave alive. Both the Hou Yi Bao and the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman tempted these cultivators. Moreover, many believed that Lin Feng might have other supreme treasures and legacies on him. After all, Lin Feng was Lin Baitian's son, so no matter what happened, in everyone's eyes, this was a very normal occurrence. In the eyes of these cultivators, Lin Feng was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Their eyes were filled with greed. A large number of rogue cultivators stood outside, not making a move. They were waiting for an opportunity. It wouldn't be too late to make a move when the opportunity presented itself. If there wasn't an opportunity, they would just watch the show. "Kid, it's time to end this." One by one, the experts closed in, their eyes flashing with murderous intent. Experts surrounded him. Rogue immortals, human immortals, earth immortals, and sky immortals were all gathered here. There were even a few quasi-true immortals. The situation was very dangerous. Anyone would feel despair after being surrounded by so many experts. However, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Ever since he'd refined the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, he'd discovered that his power and the talisman's power seemed to be connected. Lin Feng felt as if the Hou Yi Bao had become a part of him. Lin Feng, the Hou Yi Bao, and the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman formed a special cycle. This cycle allowed Lin Feng to freely control the Hou Yi Bao. "It's time for the world to experience the Hou Yi Bao's supreme power again." Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. It was as if they understood Lin Feng's words. The Hou Yi Bao actually let out a series of vibrations. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, many cultivators soared into the sky and charged toward Lin Feng. "This is the hell that will bury all of you," Lin Feng said indifferently. "What shameless boasting!" Those strong cultivators were looking at Lin Feng disdainfully. They were extremely confident in their own strength. In their opinion, dealing with Lin Feng was as easy as blowing off dust. They sped up and rushed towards Lin Feng. Those top experts fell behind. If their subordinates could deal with Lin Feng, naturally, they didn't need to do anything. After all, the strong had their own dignity. So many people besieged Lin Feng. If top experts like them were to make a move as well, it would be a huge blow to their reputations. It was precisely because of this. Therefore, those top-notch experts had yet to make a move. Lin Feng gripped Hou Yi's Bao with his right hand. He grabbed the bowstring with his left hand. Then, he slowly drew the Hou Yi Bao. The energy of heaven and earth gathered from all directions to form an energy arrow. The energy arrow was shot by Lin Feng. Whoosh! Everyone saw that the energy arrow, with a long tail of light, instantly arrived in front of a loose immortal expert. Then, it shot towards the body of the loose immortal expert. With a loud bang, that loose immortal expert's body exploded. His body and soul were instantly destroyed. Many people couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Hou Yi's Bao was terrifyingly powerful. A condensed arrow could actually kill a loose immortal. It was truly too powerful. But soon, they revealed even more shocked expressions. Because Lin Feng had shot out a second arrow. This arrow shot towards a human immortal expert. That human immortal expert's expression changed dramatically. He hurriedly took out a defensive shield. He held the shield in his hand to block the arrow. However, by the time the Hou Yi Bao's energy arrow had reached his side, the Hou Yi Bao's energy arrow had already reached him. The energy arrow instantly pierced through the shield, then shot into that human immortal expert's body. Bang! With a second violent explosion, that human immortal expert was also killed by Lin Feng's arrow. Even a human immortal was killed in an instant. Hou Yi's Bao truly lives up to its name as one of the 10 great taboo weapons. It's simply too heaven-defying. The loose immortals watching from the periphery couldn't help but exclaim. The power displayed by Hou Yi's Bao was extremely shocking. At this moment, Lin Feng attacked as fast as lightning. One after another, energy arrows condensed and shot towards the cultivators charging from all directions. Bang! 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 Explosions rang out one after another as the fleshly bodies of the powerful cultivators were blown apart. Lin Feng discovered that the further the Ho Yi's bowstring was drawn, the more terrifying the condensed energy arrow was. Of course, the further the bowstring was drawn, the more dermic power was consumed. However, Lin Feng had the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, so he could attack without any worries. Without the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, his dermic power alone wouldn't be able to hold on for long. His dermic power was about to be depleted. After all, a supreme treasure like Ho Yi's bow was simply too heaven-defying. Naturally, the dermic power consumption was extremely severe. At first, only some loose immortals and human immortals died. Later, even earth immortals died under the Ho Yi's bow. It was a horrifying scene. Countless immortals charged towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng stood on the mountain peak. It was as if he was possessed by Ho Yi. He drew the Ho Yi's bow and killed one immortals after another. The immortals from the top factions were all terrified by Lin Feng's slaughter. Retreat! Hurry up and retreat! Many people cried out in horror. Even the earth immortals' faces changed drastically. They were almost scared to death. The Ho Yi's bow's power was simply too heaven-defying. They didn't dare to fight against it at all. Therefore, the immortals all retreated. However, Lin Feng didn't stop at all. Arrows were shot out one after another. The immortals who were retreating were also shot to death. Everyone watched the scene unfold in front of them with a dumbfounded expression. It was simply too shocking. They couldn't believe what they were seeing was real. It was just like a scene from a dream. One man and one bow, facing the immortals of the world alone. The immortals from the top factions were so terrified that they fled pathetically. At that moment, many people were looking at Lin Feng in awe and fear. Some people were even looking at him with disdain. Some of them were filled with admiration. Even Nangong merely looked at Lin Feng with a hint of splendor. "Kid! You deserve to die 10,000 times," a Sky Immortal expert said coldly. He stepped forward, wanting to kill Lin Feng. There were a total of 7 Sky Immortals from 7 top factions. The Sky Immortals are about to attack. That kid probably can't withstand their attacks, right? Many people exclaimed when they saw the 7 Sky Immortals attacking. Sky Immortals were high and mighty. They were at the pinnacle of the Void Immortal realm. Therefore, in many people's opinion, even if Lin Feng had the Ho Yi's bow. But when faced with the attack of a heavenly immortal state being, there was only death awaiting him. Chapter 45:10. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the battlefield in front of them. The cultivators from the major factions hated and feared Lin Feng at the same time. They wanted to join forces to suppress Lin Feng. But they were defeated by Lin Feng. Most of them died miserably. Only a few of them were lucky enough to escape Lin Feng's attack. Thinking back to the scene just now, they couldn't help but feel aghast. Now they saw 7 celestial immortal experts attack. They saw hope in suppressing Lin Feng. No wonder His Highness the Crown Prince issued an order to capture you. You're really a scourge, just like your father. After capturing you, I'll hand you over to His Highness the Crown Prince. When the time comes, His Highness will use you to lure out your father. At that time, all of you will die. A celestial immortal expert from Baji Palace sneered. Looking at Lin Feng, his eyes were full of dense killing intent. In his opinion, today, Lin Feng was bound to be unable to escape even if he grew wings. As soon as the man's voice faded, the 7 celestial immortals all charged at Lin Feng. 7 stars piercing the sun! Lin Feng shouted coldly. He pulled the giant bow. At this moment, Lin Feng pulled the Ho Yi bow into a half-full moon state. This was Lin Feng's limit. He even used 6 times the strength of the Dracofin arm. But he only pulled it to a half-full moon state. But a half-full moon state was already powerful enough. 7 energy arrows condensed and formed. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Next, 7 energy arrows were released by Lin Feng. The 7 energy arrows pierced through the void, shooting at the 7 celestial immortal experts. Break! The 7 celestial immortals had profound cultivation bases, so they were naturally full of confidence. Facing the terrifying arrows shot out from the Hoi Bao, the 7 celestial immortals roared at the same time. In the next moment, they unleashed powerful divine abilities to deal with the incoming arrows. But the 7 celestial immortals obviously underestimated the terrifying power of the Hoi Bao. Their divine abilities were instantly penetrated by the energy arrows shot out by the Hoi Bao. Then, the 7 arrows rapidly shot towards the 7 celestial immortals. Looking at the energy arrows that shot towards them at high speed, the expressions of the 7 heaven immortal experts couldn't help but change greatly. They didn't dare to be careless and hurriedly used even more powerful techniques to block the 7 energy arrows. Some people took out powerful magic treasures to block the energy arrows, while others used methods to distort the void to block the energy arrows. 9 immortal slaying arrows! Lin Feng sneered as he continued to shoot arrows. Every time, he would pull it to the limit of a half-full moon. The first time, Lin Feng shot 7 arrows, so the power of the arrows was not at its peak. But now, Lin Feng had drawn the Hoi Bao to a half-full crescent, and had only shot out a single arrow. The power of this arrow naturally reached the pinnacle level. 9 arrows flew out one after another. One after another. 9-star alignment. Shooting down celestial immortals. Lin Feng's 9 arrows were all locked onto the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace. This guy's mouth was full of nonsense. Therefore, Lin Feng decided to get rid of this guy first. At this moment, the celestial immortal of the Baji Palace had summoned a golden pagoda. The golden pagoda floated above him, and rays of golden light shone down on him. The first arrow was blocked by the golden light released by the golden pagoda. Now, 9 arrows were shot one after another. The power of these 9 arrows was even more powerful and terrifying. Clang! The first arrow hit the defensive light shield of the golden tower. There was a sonorous collision sound, and then it dissipated. Clang! The second arrow was shot, and the same clanging sound of collision was heard. Then it dissipated. Clang! The third arrow was also shot over. This time, the third arrow caused damage to the defensive light shield formed by the golden pagoda, because cracks had appeared on the defensive light shield. Of course, to be honest, the first and second arrows didn't cause any direct damage to the defensive light shield formed by the golden pagoda. But in fact, they had destroyed the defensive system of the golden pagoda. Therefore, when the third arrow was shot, the defensive light shield of the golden pagoda had begun to crack. The fourth arrow was shot. The cracks became bigger. The fifth arrow was shot. The cracks continued to intensify. At this moment, the cracks on the defensive light shield had spread out like a spider web. The arrows shot by Lin Feng were all concentrated on one point. Therefore, the destructive damage caused by these arrows was extremely terrifying. When the sixth arrow hit the defensive light barrier, Zhang Xian's eyes lit up. The defensive light shield was directly shattered. Then, the seventh arrow was shot towards the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace. The celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace had an extremely ugly expression. He didn't expect that the power released by Lin Feng's Hoi Bao would be so terrifying. It was much more terrifying than he imagined. Facing the attack of the seventh arrow, the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace reached out his hand towards the seventh arrow. His fingers had turned green. Then, his fingers collided with the seventh arrow. His finger had actually blocked the terrifying power of the seventh arrow. However, before the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace could let out a sigh of relief, the seventh arrow directly exploded. The celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace was blown away. At this moment, the eighth arrow was shot. The reaction of the celestial immortal expert of the 8 Extreme Palace was extremely fast. When the eighth arrow was shot over, the celestial immortal expert of the 8 Extreme Palace had a very fast reaction. When the eighth arrow was about to reach him, His body moved sideways to the left. Then, the 8th arrow almost brushed past his body. The scene just now was really thrilling. The celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace had never been forced into such a difficult situation. Moreover, the cultivator who forced him into such a difficult situation was only a young human cultivator. This made him go mad with hatred. But at this moment, the 9th arrow was already shot. The celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace opened his mouth and spat out a cloud of black gas. He wanted to use that cloud of black gas to block the 9th arrow. The black gas exploded and the 9th arrow was blocked. However, he had yet to let out a sigh of relief. The 10th arrow was shot. The pupils of the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace suddenly shrunk. This was because the appearance of the 10th arrow was too sudden. It actually flew out from the void. This was because Lin Feng had fused the power of space into the 10th arrow. Therefore, the 10th arrow quietly hid in the void. The celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace had been resisting the attacks of the previous 9 arrows. He simply didn't notice the 10th arrow shot out by Lin Feng. It was already too late for the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace to dodge the 10th arrow. The next moment, a poochie sound could be heard. Blood splattered. The 10th arrow directly pierced through the head of the celestial immortal expert of the Baji Palace. Chapter 45:11. Bang! The 8th-level palace celestial immortal's body exploded, and he died on the spot. Between heaven and earth, everything quieted down in an instant. But after a short moment of silence, an earth-shattering sound of venting rang through the clouds. Dead? Dead? A celestial immortal expert has actually died! My heavens, how is this possible? That's a celestial immortal, but he was killed by Lin Feng just like that. Even if Lin Feng has the Hoi Bao, he's still too young. But he was too young. He was so young. How high could his cultivation be? He shouldn't be able to unleash the power of the Hoi Bao. Don't look at him like a normal person. Don't forget, he's Lin Baitian's son. When Lin Baitian was his age, even true immortals didn't dare to speak loudly in front of him. The cultivators in the outer regions began to discuss spiritedly. They were very glad. Because they didn't attack. Or else, their deaths would have been extremely tragic. Because the current Lin Feng was too terrifying. He was like a peerless fiend god. It was so terrifying that it made one's heart tremble. The other 6 celestial immortals were all terrified when they saw the 8th-level palace celestial immortal killed. Those celestial immortals were on par with the 8th-level palace celestial immortals. If Lin Feng had the ability to kill the 8th-level palace celestial immortal, he naturally had the ability to kill them as well. Therefore, when the 8th-level palace celestial immortal was killed, the other 6 celestial immortals turned and fled. Seeing the other 6 celestial immortals flee in such a sorry state, many people smiled wryly. If it were any other time, they wouldn't even dare to imagine the scene before their eyes. 6 celestial immortals were scared to the point of fleeing by a young human cultivator. Would anyone believe it if they told others? Of course, no one would. But now, all of this had happened before their eyes. They had no choice but to believe what they saw. The combat strength Lin Feng displayed was truly too heaven-defying. It was so heaven-defying that many people couldn't help but be aghast. The ancestral shaman Jade Talisman! You must have used the power of the ancestral shaman Jade Talisman. Or else, you can't use the Hoi Bao continuously, Black Wind Old Man suddenly said. Previously, Black Wind Old Man, evil lord of 10,000 demons, and Divine Sect Heaven's 3 experts had chased after Wu Tianhai. They were here to obtain the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman. However, in the end, the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman fell into Lin Feng's hands. Right now, Black Wind Old Man was filled with killing intent towards Lin Feng. If it wasn't for Lin Feng saving Wu Tianhai, the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman would have been taken away by them. And that was a failure. The Black Wind Old Man regarded it as a great humiliation. Now that he thought about it, there was still a sense of bristling anger. Magic treasures are also a part of one's strength, Lin Feng said indifferently. You're not a member of the witch race. Without the bloodline of the witch race, it's impossible for you to activate the ancestral witch jade talisman. The reason you're able to utilize the ancestral shaman jade talisman now is because the ancestral shaman jade talisman awakened on its own after it converged with the Hui Bao. That's why you can borrow the power of the ancestral magus jade talisman. However, I'm sure the power of the ancestral shaman jade talisman will quickly decline. When that time comes, you'll still be dead, Black Wind Old Man said sinisterly. So everyone, we don't have to attack this kid at all. Just surround him and prevent him from leaving. This kid will become a turtle in a jar. Black Wind Old Man's idea was actually very wretched. There were several quasi-true immortals here, as well as so many sky immortals, earth immortals, human immortals, and itinerant immortals. However, they were so frightened by Lin Feng that they didn't dare to attack. This was too embarrassing. However, from another point of view, Black Wind Old Man's idea was indeed a little wretched. However, it was still a good idea. Therefore, the other quasi-true immortals didn't say anything, tacitly agreeing with Black Wind Old Man's suggestion. Damn! These pseudo-fruit immortals are so shameless. The itinerant immortals watching from the periphery couldn't help but mutter. They all looked at those quasi-true immortals with disdain. After all, they were quasi-true immortals with such high realms. Could they be any more shameless? Of course, no one dared to slander those quasi-true immortals so casually. Unless they didn't want to live anymore. Lin Feng was speechless. Where did these guys have the aura of an expert? However, their methods were similar to Taoist Wu Liang's wretchedness. Actually, Lin Feng knew that Mr. Blackwind was an old bastard. What he said made sense. Although Lin Feng had sacrificially refined the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, he wasn't sure if he could still activate it after the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman fell silent. Lin Feng wasn't too sure either. Therefore, the safest way was to kill these people in front of him. Lin Feng said, Blackwind Old Man, you're still as cowardly as ever. Back then, we still needed you, the Demon Lord of Myriad Demons, and Shinzongtian to deal with the Sky Immortal Senior Wu Tianhai. You're as cowardly as an egg. I'm starting to wonder if you have balls. You're probably not a man anymore, right? After hearing Lin Feng's mocking words, Blackwind Old Man couldn't believe that Lin Feng could say such filthy words. He subconsciously roared. Kid, what did you say? I said you're a coward, Lin Feng said. You. Blackwind Old Man was so infuriated by Lin Feng that his entire body trembled. Meanwhile, the itinerant immortals were enjoying themselves. When had they ever seen such a thrilling scene? A quasi-true immortal expert was being pointed at by a young cultivator and scolded by him. This quasi-true immortal expert didn't even dare to fight back. What a strange story. Now many people were even hoping that Lin Feng would be able to escape. Hui Bao. Let Lin Feng have it. Anyway, looking at the current situation, it would be very difficult for the Hui Bao to fall into the hands of these itinerant immortals. Rather than letting Lin Feng have it, it would be better than letting those itinerant immortals take advantage of it. You have no manners. I can't be bothered to talk to you anymore. Blackwind Old Man finally said coldly. Lin Feng said, I have no manners? Manners my ass. You bunch of old farts who have lived for God knows how many years. You don't even dare to fight me head-on and only dare to use despicable methods to deal with me. Now you're saying I have no manners? If you're not cowards, then what are you? Not only is Blackwind Old Man a coward, but all of you are cowards as well. I won't even call you cowards old dogs because that would be an insult to the animals called dogs. Junior, you're courting death. When had these itinerant immortals ever been insulted like this? Therefore, when they heard Lin Feng's insults, the itinerant immortals all roared angrily. They were so infuriated by Lin Feng that their bodies trembled. Their gazes toward Lin Feng were filled with killing intent. Chapter 45:12. Although these quasi-true immortals wanted nothing more than to slap Lin Feng to death. But they didn't act. Now wasn't the time to argue with Lin Feng. Capturing Lin Feng was their ultimate goal. The rest of the quasi-true immortals didn't pay any attention to Lin Feng. If they really did pay attention to Lin Feng, they felt that Lin Feng would take special care of them. Just like Old Man Black Wind. Being scolded by Lin Feng? And then being depressed to the point of wanting to vomit blood. Kid! We won't argue with you. When you fall into our hands later, I hope you can still be as arrogant as you are now. Old Man Black Wind looked coldly at Lin Feng. This old thing had made up his mind to trap Lin Feng instead of fighting Lin Feng head-on. Lin Feng sneered. If you old turtles don't dare to make a move, then I don't mind taking the initiative to kill you all. Lin Feng walked outside step by step. He held the Hou-Yi bow and shot arrows. Swoosh, 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 one arrow after another shot towards these quasi-true immortals at lightning speed. There were a total of 5 quasi-true immortals. These 5 were Old Man Black Wind, the deputy commander of the Sacred Legion, an ancestor of the Northern Wilderness war god lineage. This person was called Wanderer Gumo, a peerless beauty of the demon race, Great Demon Yu, a grand elder of the 8-level palace. This person was called Venerable Saint Martial. In addition, there was also Lin Feng's old acquaintance, Venerable Lord Yuan-Tian. These 5 powerhouses were all quasi-true immortals. Their strength could be described as unfathomable. The arrows shot by Lin Feng from the Hou-Yi bow instantly pierced through the void and shot toward the 5 quasi-true immortals. Seeing Lin Feng take the initiative to attack, the 5 quasi-true immortals had to attack even if they didn't want to. As a result, the 5 quasi-true immortals unleashed powerful divine abilities to block Lin Feng's arrows. After all, they were quasi-true immortals. Cultivators of the celestial immortal realm were no match for them. The divine abilities of the 5 quasi-true immortals instantly collided with the arrows shot by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's arrows were instantly blocked by their attacks. However, after blocking Lin Feng's arrows, their divine abilities also dissipated. Quasi-true immortals are really powerful. The Hou-Yi bow can't hurt them. I'm afraid Lin Feng is done for. Seeing the 5 quasi-true immortals unleashing their invincible might, a cultivator immediately spoke up. Obviously, he was not optimistic about Lin Feng. After all, quasi-true immortals were simply too powerful. When they attacked, it was simply despairing. Although Lin Feng had the Hou-Yi bow and even had the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman to continuously provide Lin Feng with power. However, in the eyes of those cultivators, it was just as Old Man Black Wind had said. Once the power of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman weakened, or the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman fell silent. When that time came, how could Lin Feng fight against the 5 quasi-true immortals? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Lin Feng frowned and shot arrow after arrow at the 5 quasi-true immortals. However, the cultivation of the 5 quasi-true immortals was simply too powerful. The arrows shot by Lin Feng, all of them were neutralized by the 5 quasi-true immortals. They couldn't hurt the 5 quasi-true immortals at all. Of course, the 5 quasi-true immortals knew that. Even though they had managed to block Lin Feng's arrows, it wasn't easy for them to do so. Therefore, they did not dare to be careless, because if they were careless, they might really die under the attack of Lin Feng's arrows. Therefore, they surrounded Lin Feng but did not attack. They had been exhausting Lin Feng, wanting to exhaust Lin Feng to death. Lin Feng was naturally very clear about this. Therefore, Lin Feng's expression was not particularly good. Lin Feng was also thinking of a solution. Just as Lin Feng was thinking of a solution to the crisis in front of him, suddenly, something in time and space emitted waves of violent fluctuations. This is... Lin Feng was very surprised. It was the arrow that was sealed in the Demon Emperor's secret realm back then. Back then, Lin Feng saw 5 divine arrows in the Demon Emperor's secret realm. However, he only sealed one of them. At that time, all the signs showed that the 5 arrows were the legendary sun-shooting divine arrows. However, Lin Feng could not prove this. Later on, he studied it carefully. He could not prove whether the arrow he obtained was the sun-shooting divine arrow or not. Now, this arrow actually emitted such violent fluctuations. Was it because it sensed the aura of the Hoi Bao? Therefore, was that why it emitted such violent fluctuations? If that was the case, then, was this arrow really the legendary sun-shooting divine arrow? Thinking of this, Lin Feng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. One had to know that the Hoi Bao was also called the sun-shooting divine Bao. It was created together with the sun-shooting divine arrow by Hoi. The sun-shooting divine Bao and the sun-shooting divine arrow were a set of magic treasures. The sun-shooting divine Bao and the sun-shooting divine arrow were combined together. Only then could the power reach the peak level. Lin Feng summoned the arrow and then removed the seal on the arrow. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt that the Hoi Bao and the arrow in his hand had formed a special resonance. It was as if a family member who had been separated for a long time had reunited. Was it really the sun-shooting divine arrow? Lin Feng could not help but take a deep breath. Next, his face could not help but reveal a look of ecstasy. This was getting interesting. The Hoi Bao and the sun-shooting divine arrow were together. Next, I want your lives. Lin Feng looked coldly at the 5 experts. Brat, stop bragging. Even if you have the Hoi Bao, you can't do anything to us. The black-winged old man looked at Lin Feng with a mocking gaze. Obviously, this old thing thought that Lin Feng was bragging. Lin Feng could not be bothered with the black-winged old man's ridicule. He held the bow in his right hand. With the arrow in his left hand, he knocked the sun-shooting divine arrow on the Hoi Bao. Lin Feng discovered that there seemed to be a powerful seal inside the sun-shooting divine arrow, so its power could not be completely released. However, this did not matter anymore. The power of the Hoi Bao was already strong enough. The sun-shooting divine arrow only needed to release a portion of its power, coupled with the terrifying power of the Hoi Bao. When the time came, he would be able to kill gods and Buddhas. Lin Feng pulled the bowstring to a half-full moon position. The energy of heaven and earth quickly gathered from all directions. The energy of heaven and earth all gathered into the sun-shooting divine arrow. The runes on the sun-shooting divine arrow seemed to have awakened. Everyone saw a shocking scene. Behind Lin Feng, surprisingly, there was a man holding a bow and arrow. That man? It seemed to be Hoi. His movements were exactly the same as Lin Feng's. Whoosh! The next moment, the sun-shooting divine arrow locked onto the black-winged old man. Then, it quickly shot towards the black-winged old man. Chapter 45:13. Whoosh! The speed of the sun-shot divine arrow was too fast, like a bolt of lightning. The sun-shot divine arrow pierced through the void. It instantly arrived in front of Black-Winged Old Man. Black-Winged Old Man, this old fart, had always been arrogant in front of him. Lin Feng had long wanted to kill this guy. So, Lin Feng decided to use the sun-shot divine arrow to deal with Black-Winged Old Man first. Seeing the sun-shot divine arrow shooting towards him, Black-Winged Old Man couldn't help but be shocked. He didn't expect Lin Feng's arrow to be so terrifying. The main thing was that he didn't know that the arrow Lin Feng took out was the legendary sun-shot divine arrow. Hoi Bao and sun-shot divine arrow. The power instantly reached the peak. Although the sun-shot divine arrow was still a distance away from him, Black-Winged Old Man already felt the threat of death. This feeling was really terrible. Black-Winged Old Man couldn't even remember when was the last time he felt this way. Black-Winged Old Man hurriedly took out a defensive Dharma treasure. The Dharma treasure he took out was a shield forged from golden bones. The defensive power of the shield was very strong. Golden Bones Sacred Shield. It's said to be a top-grade immortal artifact defensive Dharma treasure. When the cultivators saw the shield, they immediately exclaimed. It was definitely an incomparably powerful defensive Dharma treasure. Black-Winged Old Man was a sub-immortal expert, so he naturally had many fortuitous encounters in his long life. Therefore, it was extremely normal for him to be able to collect such a top-grade Dharma treasure. The Golden Bones Sacred Shield, this Dharma treasure, became more than 10 times bigger and floated in front of Black-Winged Old Man. It completely blocked the path of the sun-shot divine arrow. If the sun-shot divine arrow shot over, it would definitely hit the golden bone's sacred shield. Black-Wind Old Man was very confident in his Dharma treasure. He believed that this Dharma treasure could block the attack of the sun-shot divine arrow. But when the sun-shot divine arrow shot over, everyone saw a terrifying scene that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. The golden bone's sacred shield, a top-grade immortal artifact defensive Dharma treasure, was instantly penetrated by the sun-shot divine arrow. If those people knew that the arrows Lin Feng shot out were the legendary sun-shooting divine arrows, they would naturally think that everything that happened in front of them was a matter of course. However, the key point was that they did not know that the arrow in Lin Feng's hand was the sun-shot divine arrow. As such, when the sun-slaying divine arrow pierced through the golden bone's sacred shield, a top-grade defensive magic treasure, the shock it brought to everyone present was almost indescribable. After the sun-shot divine arrow pierced through the golden bone's sacred shield, it continued to shoot towards Old Man Black-Wind. Black-Wind Old Man had never thought that Lin Feng's arrow would be able to penetrate his defensive magic treasure. Therefore, when Old Man Black-Wind saw the sun-shot divine arrow shooting towards him, it was already too late for him to dodge. Puff! In the next moment, the sun-slaying divine arrow pierced through Old Man Black-Wind's neck. When the sun-slaying divine arrow pierced through Old Man Black-Wind's neck, all the vitality in his body disappeared. It was completely severed. Before Black-Wind Old Man died, he reflexively reached out his hand to cover his neck. Fresh blood gushed out from Old Man Black-Wind's neck. Old Man Black-Wind wanted to open his mouth to speak. However, in the next moment, his consciousness fell into endless darkness. Old Man Black-Wind was dead. He was shot to death by Lin Feng's arrow. When he died, his eyes were wide open. Obviously, Old Man Black-Wind died with his eyes wide open. Even when he died, he could not believe that he would be shot to death by Lin Feng's arrow. One had to know that Old Man Black-Wind was an expert of the quasi-true immortal realm. An expert like him was shot to death by an arrow. No matter who heard of this, the other party would probably not believe it. But now, all of this had happened in front of his eyes, so he had to believe it even if he did not want to. Old Man Black-Wind died just like that. His death was extremely miserable. His corpse fell from the sky. It was only at this moment that many people came back to their senses. The surrounding cultivators, whether they were cultivators from the major forces or those itinerant cultivators, were all scared silly. Let's go! The other 4 quasi-true immortal experts were almost scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. How would they dare to stay? Lin Feng was so cruel. If they stayed any longer, they would be the ones to die. The cultivators of the major forces were so scared that they fled frantically. The 4 quasi-true immortal experts also fled frantically into the distance. Whoosh! At this moment, the sun-shot divine arrow flew back to Lin Feng's hand. Lin Feng once again knocked the sun-shot divine arrow on the Hui bow. This time, Lin Feng aimed at Supremacy Yuan Tian. This woman! Damn it! Whoosh! The sun-shot divine arrow flew out quickly and shot towards Supremacy Yuan Tian. Supremacy Yuan Tian, who was running away, was shocked when she saw this scene. She waved her jade-like hand and took out defensive Dharma treasures one after another. As a living being who had transcended eras, Supremacy Yuan Tian had too many Dharma treasures. She took out a total of 13 immortal weapon defensive Dharma treasures. These 13 immortal weapon defensive Dharma treasures were arranged in order. They formed 13 defensive barriers. Supremacy Yuan Tian wanted to use these powerful defensive Dharma treasures to block the attack of the sun-shot divine arrow. To penetrate 13 immortal weapon defensive Dharma treasures was simply as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was even impossible to achieve. However, Lin Feng's sun-shot divine arrow did this seemingly impossible thing. Pft! 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 The sun-shot divine arrow pierced through one Dharma treasure after another. Soon, the 13 Dharma treasures were all pierced through by the sun-shot divine arrow. Then, the 13 Dharma treasures fell one after another. The 13 Dharma treasures were completely destroyed the moment the sun-shot divine arrow pierced through them. The itinerant cultivators watching the battle in the outer area saw the 13 top-notch Dharma treasures destroyed just like that. They all felt their hearts ache. Such powerful Dharma treasures were actually destroyed. It was really a pity. At this moment, the sun-shot divine arrow had already arrived in front of Supremacy Yuan Tian. Venerable Lord Yuan Tianzuan was wearing silver armor. That silver armor was obviously an extremely powerful Dharma treasure. Lin Feng felt that the silver armor was much more powerful than the 13 Dharma treasures that had been destroyed by the sun-shot divine arrow. However, the sun-shot divine arrow was too powerful. Even the silver armor was pierced through by the sun-shot divine arrow. The sun-shot divine arrow pierced through Supremacy Yuan Tian's chest. However, the power of the sun-shot divine arrow was almost exhausted, so it didn't penetrate Supremacy Yuan Tian's body. In the end, it got stuck in Supremacy Yuan Tian's body. Then, the sun-shot divine arrow nailed Supremacy Yuan Tian to a rock wall. At this moment, the rest of the people had already fled. It was too late for Lin Feng to chase after them. However, to be able to kill 2 quasi-true immortal powerhouses and resolve the crisis of being surrounded by many powerhouses of the major factions, Lin Feng was already extremely satisfied with the outcome of this battle. Chapter 45-14. At this moment, the remaining cultivators were all rogue cultivators. They had not attacked Lin Feng before, so they did not have to worry about Lin Feng taking revenge on them. Therefore, those rogue cultivators did not leave. Now, those rogue cultivators looked at Lin Feng with deep reverence. Lin Feng had killed 2 quasi-true immortals with the Hou-Yi Bao in his hand. This battle record was too valiant. It was simply shocking. In the eyes of many people, Lin Feng was like a god. At this moment, Lin Feng frowned slightly because he found that the power of the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman had begun to dissipate. And the speed of dissipation was extremely fast. It did not take long. The power of the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman had completely dissipated. Fortunately, the other quasi-true immortals had been scared away. Otherwise, if they were to take action now, he would not be able to contend with those guys. That kid's power is declining rapidly. It should be the power of the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman that has quickly quieted down. This kid's cultivation is actually not very good. He mainly relied on the Hou-Yi Bao, the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman, and the divine arrow to be able to be so fierce. However, he is not a member of the sorcerer tribe, so he cannot activate the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman. Just now, the ancestral sorcerer Jade Talisman resonated with the Hou-Yi Bao, so it was temporarily revived. He is considered lucky, so he had the opportunity to activate the power of the Hou-Yi Bao. Otherwise, even if he had 10 lives, he would have been killed by those quasi-true immortals. If he had stayed, those quasi-true immortals would not have been able to escape. As one of the 8 great childs of the Undying Realm, young Master Xingyu was very powerful. He seemed to have sensed the situation of Lin Feng's body, so he could not help but speak. His words were full of disdain for Lin Feng. Nangong Nili, who was standing aside, frowned slightly. She did not agree with some of young Master Xingyu's words. Although she did not know much about Lin Feng, Nangong Nili felt that Lin Feng was definitely not a simple character. Perhaps he was even more terrifying than everyone had imagined. The reason Lin Feng was able to unleash the might of the Hou-Yi Bao was definitely not just because of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman. For example, Nangong Muley had heard that the Hou-Yi Bao was very difficult to draw. It was said that some titled gods could only draw it a short distance. However, Lin Feng had drawn the Hou-Yi Bao into a half-full moon. This was something that not even the titled gods were capable of. However, Lin Feng did it. From this, it could be seen how extraordinary Lin Feng was. The more he learned about the Hou-Yi Bao, the more he realized how extraordinary Lin Feng was. However, Nangong merely did not refute young Master Xingyu. She looked at young Master Xingyu and asked, "Young Master, do you intend to kill this brat and seize his Hou-Yi Bao?" Young Master Xingyu was indeed tempted. He had been considering this matter before. Who was going to make a move? Or not to make a move? However, in the end, young Master Xingyu gave up on the idea of attacking. Because the power of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman had just subsided. Did young Master Xingyu not know that the power of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman had really subsided? Or was it an illusion that Lin Feng had deliberately created to confuse others and then kill the cultivators who had attacked him? If the power of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman had really subsided, young Master Xingyu was confident that he could kill Lin Feng. If all of this was an illusion created by Lin Feng, young Master Xingyu knew his limits. Even a quasi-true immortal expert had died under the attack of that divine arrow. Young Master Xingyu was naturally not confident that he could block the divine arrow that Lin Feng had shot out. Moreover, young Master Xingyu was a more cautious person. Therefore, he finally gave up on the idea of dealing with Lin Feng. Lin Feng did not care about the gazes of others. He walked forward and took Old Man Blackwind's storage ring and origin energy. Then, he walked toward Supremacy Yuan Tian in the distance. Soon, Lin Feng arrived at Supremacy Yuan Tian's place. He grabbed the sun-shooting divine arrow and pulled it out. The sun-shooting divine arrow was pulled out by Lin Feng. A stream of blood spurted out from Supremacy Yuan Tian's wound. She's not dead? Lin Feng looked at Supremacy Yuan Tian, who had fallen to the ground, in surprise. One had to know that after the sun-shooting divine arrow pierced through the body, the sun-shooting divine arrow would vibrate with an extremely terrifying power. That power would instantly destroy all the vitality of the other party. Logically speaking, Supremacy Yuan Tian should have died. However, she was not dead. Perhaps it was because Supremacy Yuan Tian had some extraordinary means. Therefore, although she had been seriously injured by the sun-shooting divine arrow, she had survived. Lin Feng had used the 8 spirit forbidding seals to seal Supremacy Yuan Tian. Since this woman was not dead, then he could suppress this woman. Lin Feng still had many things to ask Supremacy Yuan Tian. For example, the whole story of the black-robed clan's 4 supremacies besieging his ancestor, Lin Qi. At that time, the 4 supremacies had still been at their peak. As time passed, Supremacy Yuan Tian had fallen to the true immortal realm. Tai Dao's supremacy had said that his ancestor, Lin Qi, had been killed by the 4 supremacies. Lin Feng naturally did not believe this. Of course, Lin Qi's ancestor had indeed been seriously injured in the battle with the 4 supremacies. That much was certain. Besides, Lin Feng wanted to know more about the Black-Robed clan from Supremacy Yuan Tian. The Black-Robed clan was still one of the most terrifying factions. Among the factions that had transcended epochs, the Black-Robed clan was one of the best. Lin Feng felt that the Black-Robed clan should have a certain understanding of the Black Mist clan that had suppressed his mother. These were all things that Lin Feng urgently wanted to know. Originally, it was very difficult to understand some things about the Black Mist clan because there was no way to do so. But now, Lin Feng used Supremacy Yuan Tian as a breakthrough point. He suppressed Supremacy Yuan Tian in the Creation Gourd. Then, Lin Feng left this place. Numerous itinerant cultivators gathered in the outer area of the mountain range. They watched Lin Feng leave. No one dared to attack Lin Feng. After leaving that area, Lin Feng planned to find a place to recover his body. Apart from recovering his body, Lin Feng planned to check what treasures were in Supremacy Yuan Tian and Elder Blackwind's storage rings. These two were quasi-true immortal powerhouses. And they had lived for such a long time. They must have many precious things on them, right? Especially Supremacy Yuan Tian, who was a creature that had transcended epochs. Presumably, this woman must have a lot of unimaginable and shockingly valuable treasures on her. Chapter 45-15. Lin Feng found a secluded place to cultivate in seclusion. While Lin Feng was in seclusion, the cultivators of the major factions all fled the place. At the same time, all kinds of news began to spread gradually. What happened in the underground world was a great humiliation to the major factions. Naturally, they would not spread the news of what happened in the underground world. Therefore, the ones who spread the news were the itinerant cultivators. Lin Feng, the son of Blood Sin Forest Batian, rose to power and killed many immortals with the Hou Yi Bao. Even the two quasi-true immortals were shot to death. This was earth-shattering news. The Undying World's factions were complicated. Naturally, the various major powers had different interpretations of this news. Di Wudao was furious when he heard the news, because he thought that Lin Feng would be killed. After all, Lin Feng was surrounded by so many experts. Wasn't it normal for Lin Feng to die in the hands of those experts? However, things did not go as he wished. Not only was Lin Feng fine, but he also obtained a supreme treasure like the Hou Yi Bao. And he killed many people. Was Lin Feng going to rise to power like Lin Batian? Di Wudao's jealousy was extremely strong. In the past, he was jealous of Lin Batian. However, he hid his true emotions. He did not show his jealousy of Lin Batian until he joined forces with the mastermind to plot against Lin Batian. Only then did he reveal his sharp fangs. But he did not need to hide his jealousy of Lin Feng. The Mirror of Future said, "Looks like this kid's luck is really strong. He can even deal with such a situation of certain death. He's really not simple. I'm now at the critical moment of breaking through to the true immortal realm. I can't leave it all. If I can, I'll deal with this kid personally," Di Wudao said with a gloomy expression. The Mirror of Future said, "Breaking through to the true immortal realm is the most important thing now. To put it bluntly, those who don't enter the true immortal realm are mortals. Only by breaking through to the true immortal realm can one be considered an immortal. Therefore, Your Highness must seize this opportunity and break through to the true immortal realm. If you can't break through this time, the next breakthrough will be 10 times more difficult than now," the Mirror of Future said. "Of course, I'm very clear about this point, but I can also see that it's impossible to give the task of killing Lin Feng to others. Those bastards have disappointed me too much, and I can't go out and deal with Lin Feng myself. It's really troublesome," Di Wudao said gloomily. After so many years, there were not many things that could make Di Wudao worry. However, it was obvious that Di Wudao was extremely worried about Lin Feng. The Mirror of Future said, "Actually, I've thought of a way to deal with Lin Feng, and there's no need for Your Highness to worry about this." Di Wudao's eyes lit up. He asked, "What is it?" "I wonder if Your Highness has heard of the Blood Prison?" the Mirror of Future asked. Di Wudao frowned slightly. "I've heard of it. It's said that it's the top assassin dynasty in the Undying Realm. I've also heard that the 7th Heavenly Emperor and the ruler of the Blood Prison both liked the same woman, but that woman chose the 7th Heavenly Emperor. The ruler of the Blood Prison assassin dynasty hated the 7th Heavenly Emperor out of love, so he began to plot revenge against the 7th Heavenly Emperor. Later, when the 7th Heavenly Emperor went out to patrol the heavens, he was assassinated by the ruler of the Shui region assassin dynasty. The 7th Heavenly Emperor fled back to the Heavenly Court with heavy injuries, but not long after, he died. The Blood Prison assassin dynasty is unbelievably powerful. The fall of the 7th Heavenly Emperor infuriated the Heavenly Court, so they sent out many experts to annihilate the Blood Prison assassin dynasty. It was said that the battle was extremely intense, and the Heavenly Court lost many experts to destroy the Blood Prison assassin dynasty. After that, the Blood Prison assassin dynasty disappeared completely. The Mirror of Future said, "Actually, this organization hasn't disappeared." "What? This organization hasn't disappeared? That can't be right." Di Wudao's face was filled with shock. "Of course," the Mirror of Future said, "those who haven't experienced that era don't know how terrifying the Blood Prison assassin dynasty is. Back then, in order to destroy the Blood Prison assassin dynasty, the Heavenly Court's army even sent out their most elite troops, led by the top experts of the Heavenly Court. However, after several years of war, they still couldn't destroy the Blood Prison assassin dynasty. As the Heavenly Court lost more and more experts, the Heavenly Court had no choice but to negotiate with the Blood Prison assassin dynasty. After the negotiation, The Heavenly Court announced that the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty had been destroyed. In fact, it was just a lie to the world. After all, the Heavenly Court also cared about their reputation. Although the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty suffered heavy losses in that battle, part of their core strength was preserved. After hearing the Mirror of Future's words, Di Wudao was obviously shocked. He had never thought that the Assassin dynasty that had caused the Heavenly Court to suffer heavy losses back then actually still existed in this world. It seemed that even if he was the Crown Prince of the Undying World still had many secrets that he didn't know. How do you know about this? Di Wudao couldn't help but frown slightly. The Mirror of Future smiled and said, "Back then, I followed a top expert of the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty. So, the negotiation back then. I know everything about it." "Oh? There's such a thing?" "Then, what was the negotiation between the Heavenly Court and the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty?" Di Wudao asked curiously. The Heavenly Court's request was very simple. The Blood Prison Assassin dynasty had to hide and never reveal themselves to the world. The Blood Prison Assassin dynasty agreed to the Heavenly Court's request. From then on, they began to recuperate. So many factions thought that the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty had disappeared. In fact, they didn't. This faction still exists. In fact, I believe the Celestial Emperor also knows about this. A few years ago, he seemed to have contacted the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty, but I don't know why. Di Wudao asked. Is the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty still accepting missions? The Mirror of Future said. Of course. It's just that most people don't know how to contact them. Moreover, the Blood Prison Assassin dynasty doesn't accept ordinary missions. This faction doesn't lack treasures, immortal sutras, or cultivation resources. They accept missions based on whether the mission is challenging or not, and whether it can be used to train their disciples. Chapter 45:16. Emperor Wudao asked. Do you think capturing Lin Feng will be a challenge? The Mirror of Future replied. Of course it will be. However, the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty won't capture Lin Feng. They'll only kill him. Emperor Wudao frowned. If they want to kill him, so be it. I wanted to capture him alive, but that little bastard is a disaster. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace. So I'll have to trouble you to personally go to the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty and contact the experts there to kill Lin Feng. No problem. I'm happy to serve you, Your Highness. The Mirror of Future smiled. Swish. There was a flash of light, and the Mirror of Future disappeared. Clearly, the Mirror of Future had gone to contact the Blood Hell Assassin dynasty. Emperor Wudao closed his eyes and continued to comprehend the mysteries of the true immortal realm. Meanwhile, the Celestial Emperor also received news of the battle. The Celestial Emperor Palace. The Celestial Emperor opened his eyes. An old man stood in front of the palace. This old man was none other than the Divine Heavenly King. I'm afraid the sinner's blood in Sin Realm will make a move again. Heavenly King! Pay more attention to the situation in Sin Realm. The Celestial Emperor narrowed his eyes. Understood. The Divine Heavenly King replied. The news of Lin Baitian's son's birth and rise to power continued to spread. After this matter spread throughout the entire Sin domain, a stone was thrown into the calm lake. So it's his son. No wonder the laws in Sin Realm changed. The Sinner's Blood Emperor. When will he descend upon Sin Realm? Voices rang out one after another. Many people were waiting for Lin Feng to descend upon Sin Realm again. At this moment, Lin Feng was still in seclusion. After he had finished adjusting his body's condition, Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Feng hadn't absorbed Old Man Black Wind's origin energy. This was because Lin Feng's next breakthrough would be to break through to the Sovereign Emperor realm. Lin Feng knew this. If other people were to break through to the Emperor Lord realm, they would definitely be able to complete the breakthrough by refining the source of a quasi-true immortal. However, Lin Feng's savings were simply too powerful. Thus, in order for Lin Feng to break through, refining the essence power of a cultivator at the quasi-true immortal stage was far from enough. As such, if Lin Feng wanted to break through to the Qi layer, he would need the help of the spiritual snow-bone fire. Lin Feng knew this as well. Whoosh! Light flashed, and 2 storage rings flew out. Lin Feng first sent his spiritual force into Old Man Blackwind's storage ring. Inside Old Man Blackwind's storage ring, all kinds of immortal stones were piled up like mountains. Lin Feng even saw middle-grade and high-grade immortal stones. Among them, there were 15 mountains worth of low-grade immortal stones. Each mountain was worth about 30 million low-grade immortal stones. 15 mountains would be 450 million low-grade immortal stones. There were about 5 mountains worth of middle-grade immortal stones, which meant that there were about 150 million of them. There were about 2 mountains worth of high-grade immortal stones, which meant that there were about 60 million of them. In fact, even Old Man Blackwind usually used low-grade immortal stones to cultivate. Sometimes, he would use middle-grade immortal stones. However, he rarely used high-grade immortal stones. He would only use high-grade immortal stones when breaking through to the next realm because they were very precious. After countless years, Old Man Blackwind had only collected these high-grade immortal stones, so he naturally had to use them sparingly. Looking at the 2 mountains of high-grade immortal stones, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. This old man really has a lot of immortal stones. I'm afraid I'll need high-grade immortal stones to break through to the Emperor Lord Realm. These high-grade immortal stones can provide me with an endless supply of pure energy when breaking through. Then, Lin Feng continued to search for other treasures in the storage ring. Lin Feng found many other things in Old Man Blackwind's storage ring. For example, there were all kinds of forging materials, magic treasures, heavenly and earthly treasures, and other rare treasures that were piled up into mountains. Old Man Blackwind had a total of 7 offensive magic treasures. They were the sky-piercing saber, 100-folding fan, soul-hooking claw, sun-moon blood-soul sword, heaven-ringing bell, dark devil pearl, and cloud-dragon sword. Old Man Blackwind actually had an extremely powerful defensive magic treasure, the Golden Bone's sacred shield. However, it was destroyed by Lin Feng's shooting sun divine arrow. Lin Feng originally wanted to find if Old Man Blackwind had any supreme immortal scriptures or similar inheritances. However, he didn't find any of these things. Although Lin Feng found some divine ability inheritances, they clearly couldn't arouse Lin Feng's interest. Old Man Blackwind also had a lot of pills. There were more than 1,000 different types of immortal pills. Of course, compared to his immortal stones, it was much less. Actually, cultivators, especially those with extremely powerful cultivation, didn't like to store pills. This was because the medicinal power of pills would gradually dissipate. Therefore, they were more willing to store top-grade immortal stones. They could just buy them when they needed immortal medicines. Newly bought or newly refined medicinal pills had the best medicinal effects. Lin Feng moved all the treasures in Old Man Blackwind's storage ring into time and space. Then, Lin Feng took out Supremacy Yuan Tianming's storage ring. Lin Feng tried to invade Supremacy Yuan Tianming's storage ring with his spiritual force. Suddenly, Lin Feng discovered that his spiritual force was blocked by a very powerful force. That force was the soul power that Supremacy Yuan Tianming had left in the storage ring. Since Supremacy Yuan Tianming hadn't died yet, this storage ring still had an owner. Lin Feng directly destroyed the restrictions in Supremacy Yuan Tianming's storage ring in the most domineering way. Then, Lin Feng's spiritual force invaded Supremacy Yuan Tianming's storage ring. Supremacy Yuan Tianming's storage ring was even more extraordinary. It actually formed a mountain river world. There were even many living beings in this mountain river world. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Such a mountain river world was still relatively rare. And in this mountain river world, immortal meridians were spread out one after another. Those immortal meridians were at least middle-grade immortal stone meridians. Supremacy Yuan Tianming didn't move low-grade immortal stone meridians into this mountain river world at all. Supremacy Yuan Tianming was a living being that had transcended epochs. Therefore, in the beginning of the epoch, all kinds of immortal meridians had formed. At this time, Supremacy Yuan Tianming was incomparably powerful, so she had plundered countless immortal meridians. Even though an epoch had passed, most of the immortal meridians had already been used by Supremacy Yuan Tianming. However, there were still thousands of middle-grade immortal stone meridians, as well as about 200 high-grade immortal stone meridians. Lin Feng had thought that Old Man Black Wind's wealth was already shocking enough. But now, he knew that Old Man Black Wind compared to Supremacy Yuan Tianming. It was like comparing a beggar to a billionaire. There was no comparison at all. Chapter 45:17. Lin Feng continued to search through Supremacy Yuan Tian's ring. Lin Feng discovered that there were 34 immortal artifacts in Supremacy Yuan Tian's ring. However, Lin Feng wasn't too surprised. After all, Supremacy Yuan Tian had a total of 13 defensive immortal artifacts. Including the silver armor she was wearing, there should be 14 defensive immortal artifacts. Therefore, it was normal for her to have 34 offensive immortal artifacts. Supremacy Yuan Tian had hundreds of thousands of various immortal pills. In addition, all kinds of treasures, immortal iron, divine stones, and so on were also piled up like mountains. Lin Feng was considered relatively wealthy before. However, after seeing Supremacy Yuan Tian's wealth, he still had a dumbfounded expression. Supremacy Yuan Tian's wealth was simply too much. That's... Lin Feng was shocked. His divine will found an astonishing item in the pile of Dharma treasures. Lin Feng took that item out. It was a jade-like bone. Although it was just a bone, it emitted an extremely powerful aura. This was why Lin Feng was shocked. Tyrant bone! It was actually a tyrant bone. Lin Feng's face immediately lit up with joy. The tyrant bone could allow a cultivator's haki to evolve. The tyrant stone could help a cultivator cultivate haki. Whether it was the tyrant bone or the tyrant stone, they were one of the rarest treasures in the world. It was extremely difficult to find these two supreme treasures. Supremacy Yuan Tian's woman was really not simple. She even had a treasure like the tyrant bone. The tyrant bone was mainly used for evolving haki. It was very difficult for ordinary haki to evolve. Theoretically speaking, even ordinary haki could devour the tyrant bone and try to evolve, but the success rate was too low. Therefore, very few cultivators would do this because it would waste a treasure like the tyrant bone. However, evolving haki was different. There were very few people who could awaken haki that could evolve. In an era that spanned 3,000 great eras, people who could awaken haki that could evolve were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. However, although the number was small, there were still some. For example, Lin Feng's epic haki was an evolving haki. Now, it had evolved to the level of red haki. Transparent haki, white haki, red haki, orange haki, yellow haki, green haki, cyan haki, blue haki. This was the division of the 9 levels of haki. Currently, Lin Feng's epic haki was stuck at the 3rd stage. If he refined the tyrant bone, then Lin Feng's epic haki could probably evolve to the 4th stage, which was the orange level of haki. Once Lin Feng's haki evolved to the orange haki stage, the power of haki would be greatly increased. But that wasn't the most important thing, because Lin Feng had 4 types of qi, so if his epic qi evolved, he would be able to use it. In that case, when Lin Feng used the magnetic field, the power of the magnetic field would increase exponentially. As the saying goes, pull one hair and the whole body will be affected. The 4 great haki were closely related, which was why the epical haki evolved. It would also greatly enhance the power of the other 3 types of haki. Lin Feng was extremely interested in Supremacy Yuan Tian's inheritance. After all, Supremacy Yuan Tian's black-robed clan was one of the top clans of the epic lost clans. Their immortal sutra must be extremely terrifying. Therefore, Lin Feng planned to study the black-robed clan's immortal sutra. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. After studying the black-robed clan's immortal sutra thoroughly, he would know where the black-robed clan's weakness was. It would be much easier to deal with the Black-robed clan in the future. After searching for a while, Lin Feng did not find the Black-robed clan's immortal sutra. He withdrew his divine consciousness from the storage ring. Then, Lin Feng moved the countless treasures and immortal meridians from Supremacy Yuantian's storage ring into Lin Feng's time and space. So many immortal stones and immortal meridians suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's time and space. His time and space was filled with immortal qi. Lin Feng's time and space had become a sacred cultivation ground. Now, Lin Feng could even capture many mortals and put them in his empty space and time world, and they could live there. He could even let them cultivate inside. In this way, Lin Feng was equivalent to a creator. Of course, Lin Feng did not have such plans. Now, he planned to refine the tyrant bone and let his epical haki complete its evolution. Then, he would think of a way to pry open Supremacy Yuantian's mouth. He would see what he could get from Supremacy Yuantian. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and began to refine the tyrant bone. As time passed, the power of the tyrant bone was gradually absorbed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's epical haki began to gradually evolve. After about a day, Lin Feng's epical haki. It had finally completed its evolution. His epical haki had transformed from red haki to orange haki. Lin Feng could not help but smile. It had finally completed its transformation. It had not been easy. Lin Feng then summoned Supremacy Yuantian, who had been imprisoned by him. At this moment, Supremacy Yuantian had already woken up. She was actually an extremely beautiful woman. And she had once stood at the pinnacle of cultivation. Conquering such a woman, it would probably make countless men's blood boil. But Lin Feng had no interest. Because the current Supremacy Yuantian was only his prisoner. Supremacy Yuantian's expression was extremely ugly. She had never thought that she would fall into Lin Feng's hands. When she first met Lin Feng, in her eyes, Lin Feng was nothing more than an ant. How many years had it been? Lin Feng had already grown to such a level? Just thinking about it was enough to make people turn pale with fright. Unlike Lin Feng, the strength of these supremacies declined very quickly at the end of the epoch. A few years ago, Supremacy Yuantian was still at the perfected immortal realm. Now, she had fallen to the quasi-perfected immortal realm. This made Supremacy Yuantian feel very helpless. Only a small number of people in the Epic Remnant clan could reverse fate, and their cultivation would not fall. Instead, they would become stronger. However, such people were too few. It was not something that could be done with strength alone. It also required opportunities and some luck. Lin Feng looked at Supremacy Yuantian and said, "Did you think that you would be captured by me one day?" Supremacy Yuantian said hatefully, "I wanted to kill you back then, but Tai Dao's supremacy said that it would not be fun to kill you directly. He wanted to slowly toy with you to death. He told me not to interfere. So I did not kill you. Who would have thought? That little ant from back then had actually become so powerful. It's really like nurturing a tiger invites calamity. If I had known, I would have crushed you back then." Chapter 45-18. Supremacy Yuan was an extremely prideful person, even though she had become Lin Feng's prisoner. However, she did not have any awareness of being a prisoner. She continued to mock Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Times have changed. You are no longer the person I needed to look up to back then. And I am no longer the weak youth from back then. Have you heard of this saying? It is better to bully an old man than a poor youth. Back then, my cultivation was still short, and my cultivation was not strong. But now, things have changed. You, on the other hand, are in a different situation. As an epic descendant, your cultivation base is getting weaker and weaker as time passes. You are no longer qualified to be my opponent. If it was Tai Dao Exalted Lord, I would have long since cut him into pieces. Do you know why I haven't killed you yet?" Supremacy Yuan ignored Lin Feng. She remained silent with a gloomy face. She would not beg Lin Feng for mercy. Although her cultivation had fallen, she was still a peerless expert in the past. Therefore, she was still extremely prideful. Lin Feng didn't care that Zun Tian Yuan was ignoring him. He said indifferently, "The reason why I didn't kill you is because I have tender feelings for women. You should be glad that you are good-looking." Humph! Supremacy Yuan snorted coldly. She still did not say anything. Lin Feng said, "I will ask you a few questions. Answer me honestly." Supremacy Yuan said coldly, "I won't answer any of your questions. Even if you kill me, I won't answer any of your questions. So you should give up now." Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. That little girl surprisingly didn't want to cooperate. And she looked like she would rather die than submit. Lin Feng said, "Now you can't die just because you want to. You are my prisoner now. Whether you die or I die is up to me. Since you're unwilling to answer my question, I'll convert you." Lin Feng wasn't in the mood to get tangled up with Supremacy Yuan Tian. He preferred to use violent means to achieve his goals. Lin Feng used the Great Purification technique. Then, a powerful force of purification poured into Supremacy Yuan Tian's mind. However, very soon, Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. This was because Lin Feng hadn't discovered Supremacy Yuan's soul. "You fused your soul with your body?" Lin Feng asked Supremacy Yuan. Lin Feng knew that some otherworldly creatures or lost races of the epoch possessed such strange techniques. They could completely merge their souls with their bodies. If that was the case, others would not be able to harm their souls. "Seems like you are quite knowledgeable." Supremacy Yuan Tian sneered. Now, Venerable Lord Yuan had a plan to go all out. In any case, she knew that falling into Lin Feng's hands would definitely not end well. However, Supremacy Yuan Tian was unwilling to submit to Lin Feng. No matter what Lin Feng did to her, even if he killed her, she wouldn't cooperate with Lin Feng. This was something that Supremacy Yuan Tian had long planned. Lin Feng said, "You think that I can't deal with you if you don't cooperate, right? You think that I can't deal with you if I can't convert you, right? If that's the case, then you are gravely mistaken. If you don't cooperate with me honestly, do you believe that I will sell you to a brothel? At that time, everyone in the world will know that the dignified Supremacy Yuan Tian of the lost races of the epoch has been sold to a brothel. I wonder what kind of sensational scene it will be. I can guarantee that you will definitely be the biggest star in the world. I will kill you!" Supremacy Yuan Tian was so angry that she went berserk when she heard Lin Feng's words. Then, she pounced on Lin Feng. Her magic power was sealed, and she couldn't use her strength, but she could still move her body. F***ck. Seeing Supremacy Yuan Tian pouncing on him like a shrew, Lin Feng couldn't help but jump in fright. It seemed that everyone had a weak spot, and he had hit Supremacy Yuan Tian's weak spot. Supremacy Yuan Tian gritted her teeth in hatred, but she couldn't use her magic power. In front of Lin Feng, she naturally didn't have much of a deterrent force. Lin Feng grabbed Supremacy Yuan Tian's wrist and held her so that she couldn't move. "It's useless to struggle. If you cooperate with me honestly, I might take you in as a personal maid. With your beauty, you're barely qualified to be my personal maid." Lin Feng pinched Supremacy Yuan Tian's snow-white chin and said. Supremacy Yuan Tian was very hateful. She could even be described as vicious. However, no one could deny her beauty. She was a peerless beauty. Her beauty was suffocating. "Who do you think you are? What right do you have to make me your personal maid?" Supremacy Yuan Tian said angrily. She was very arrogant, even more so than when she had been strong. She valued her face and dignity even more. People were often like this. When you had absolute strength, everyone would respect you. To put it bluntly, if you farted at this time, people would say that it smelled good. But what if your strength fell? Who wouldn't want to step on you? Therefore, Supremacy Yuan Tian still wanted to use her so-called pride to maintain her dignity when she had been a peerless powerhouse in her previous life. However, she had forgotten one thing. The current her no longer had such qualifications. "Why are you so angry?" "There is one thing you need to know. Nowadays there are many things that you can't refuse just because you want to. Only the strong have the right to choose, and the weak are destined to live by the whims of others. The current you is the weak. I let you be my personal maid because I think highly of you. If you serve me well, I might even let you be my concubine in the future, Lin Feng said with a smile. I, Supremacy Yuan Tian, will not become a vassal of any man, Supremacy Yuan Tian said coldly. Do you believe me when I say that I can make your insistence collapse instantly? Lin Feng said with a smile. You! Supremacy Yuan Tian's face turned pale. She was a smart person, so she naturally knew what Lin Feng meant. She looked glum as she said, Lin Feng, you're despicable and shameless. Compared to your father, you're a good man and you're a shameless bastard. You're a shameless bastard. Thank you for the compliment. You can say whatever you want. Now I just want to ask you a question. Will you answer me? My patience is limited, Lin Feng said indifferently. Supremacy Yuan Tian bit her lip and finally nodded. Ask away. But after I answer you, you can't have any improper thoughts about me. Chapter 45:19. Lin Feng looked at Supremacy Yuan and said, I don't have any improper thoughts about you, and you don't have the right to make me have improper thoughts about you. You are my prisoner, my slave. Whatever I do to you is reasonable. You have to understand this principle. You! Supremacy Yuan glared at Lin Feng hatefully. Lin Feng's words had infuriated her. But soon, Supremacy Yuan's heart was filled with helplessness. Lin Feng's words were actually quite reasonable. Because she was indeed Lin Feng's prisoner now. Lin Feng said, Of course, my attitude towards you is still the same as before. I'm a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex. If you cooperate with me, I won't do anything ruthless. I hope you remember what you just said. Supremacy Yuan looked deeply at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, Back then, you and Tai Dao's supremacy worked together to deal with my ancestor, Lin Qi. Tai Dao's supremacy's grandson said that my ancestor was killed by you. He must be lying, right? Based on Lin Feng's understanding of his ancestor, Lin Qi, Tai Dao's supremacy's grandson was lying. Lin Feng naturally didn't believe that Tai Dao's supremacy and the other supremacies had the strength to kill Lin Qi's ancestor. After all, his ancestor, Lin Qi, was on the same level as his mother's ancestor, the Lord of Gods. The Lord of Gods was the first expert to rise after the end of the era of titled gods. He had even created a new cultivation system. From this, one could see how powerful the Lord of Gods was. In other words, it also proved how powerful his ancestor, Lin Qi, was. Supremacy Yuan said. Actually, Tai Dao's supremacy is indeed lying. We four supremacies didn't participate in the battle back then. We were only watching from afar. Watching from afar? Lin Feng was stunned. He still remembered Tai Dao's supremacy's vivid description of what had happened back then. After all this time, Tai Dao's supremacy wasn't even qualified to participate in the battle back then? He was only qualified to watch from afar. After all these years, he had believed Tai Dao's supremacy's grandson's words. Tai Dao's supremacy really knew how to boast. He really knew how to flatter himself. Supremacy Yuan said. Lin Qi is such a terrifying existence. How could we be qualified to fight him? The ones fighting against him are the 8 great sacred ancestors of our black-robed clan. You might not understand the strength of the 8 sacred ancestors, but let me tell you this. Sacred ancestors are people who can reverse destiny, their strength. Especially at the 2 nodes of the destruction of an era and the birth of a new era, their strength will increase exponentially. Even the weakest among the 8 sacred ancestors is a cultivator who has crossed 2 epochs. The sacred ancestor, Lin. Because they knew that even if they killed Lin Qi, the 4 of them would definitely die at his hands. Lin Qi also knew his own situation. If the battle continued, even if he killed the 4 sacred ancestors, he wouldn't be in a good situation. Therefore, both sides had a tacit understanding. They chose to stop the battle and left. Damn! Ancestor Lin Qi is actually so powerful. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Lord Yuan Tian's description seemed to bring Lin Feng back to that great battle. In the boundless starry sky, Ancestor Lin Shi had faced the 8 sacred ancestors of the black-robed clan alone. How hot-blooded was that? The strength of the 8 sacred ancestors is unimaginable. They once slaughtered the heavens, but they weren't able to kill Lin Shi. The main reason is that Lin Shi's vitality is too strong. He has awakened his undying bloodline 10 times. He's practically immortal. That's why the 8 sacred ancestors didn't kill him. Otherwise, how could a living being of this epoch contend with cultivators who have transcended several epochs? Supremacy Yuan pursed his lips. Awakened his undying bloodline 10 times? Lin Feng was shocked. 9 was the ultimate number. It represented an ominous sign. Awakening his undying bloodline 10 times. This meant Ancestor Lin Shi had broken this ominous sign. No wonder Ancestor Lin Shi was so powerful. Who would have thought Ancestor Lin Shi was so weak when he was young? In the Undying clan, he was regarded as a useless bloodline. His status was low. Therefore, after Ancestor Lin Shi's mother died, he wasn't even qualified to be buried in the ancestral grave. As expected. The saying "don't bully a poor young man" would never go out of style. Later on, it was rumored that Ancestor Lin Shi died. What do you think of this? Lin Feng asked Supremacy Yuan. The decline of his bloodline. It had a lot to do with Ancestor Lin Shi's death. Of this, he was certain. Supremacy Yuan said, I also heard this news back then, but I didn't believe it. 4 of the 8 great divine ancestors were killed in order to kill Lin Shi. How could Lin Shi die? Unless the mastermind behind the scenes made a move, it would be possible to kill Lin Shi. However, as far as I know, the mastermind behind the scenes who experienced the Khanate life form battle is also recuperating and wouldn't appear at that time. Therefore, the news of Lin Shi's death itself is very deceptive. Of course, I don't know why this news was spread. Something unknown must have happened back then. And what these things were, perhaps only the people involved would know. Lin Feng couldn't help but touch his chin. This matter was indeed a little strange. Could it be that Ancestor Lin Shi wasn't dead? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's eyes couldn't help but light up. If Ancestor Lin Shi wasn't dead, then what did Ancestor Lin Shi do? Lin Feng was very puzzled and wanted to know. But what could he do? He had no clues. Is there anything else you want to ask? Supremacy Yuan asked. Lin Feng said, According to what you said, your black-robed clan should be an extremely ancient clan, right? How many eras has your black-robed clan spanned? Supremacy Yuan said, I'm not very clear about this. The oldest person I can come into contact with is the ancestor who spanned 8 eras. His strength is very strong. It's simply unimaginable. He can even be called a creator, as he can casually create new life. His strength spanning 8 eras is so terrifying? Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. Chapter 45-20. Of course. An expert who had crossed 8 eras. In the history of eras. Also an extraordinary figure. Supremacy Yuan said. Lin Feng couldn't help but have a thought in his mind. A living being who had crossed 8 eras was already so powerful. In this world, was there an existence who had crossed 3,000 eras? From the beginning of the first era until the current era, there were still people in this world. If there was an existence of this level, then what kind of cultivation level would such an existence have? But soon, Lin Feng smiled bitterly. In this world, how could there be such a heaven-defying figure? Crossing 3,000 eras, wouldn't that be eternal life? Lin Feng continued. A race like yours must have a top-notch Immortal Sutra. Tell me the Immortal Sutra. I'll study it. Hearing that, Supremacy Yuan's pretty face changed slightly. If she told Lin Feng the Immortal Sutra, it was tantamount to betraying the black-robed race. What was the consequence of betraying the black-robed race? Supremacy Yuan was very clear. She said with an ugly expression, If you want the black-robed race's Immortal Sutra, You might as well kill me directly. You should know that you have no choice now that you've fallen into my hands. You don't have to keep saying that I'll kill you in front of me. I won't kill you because I can't bear to kill a delicate beauty like you. You know very well that you can't resist me. I'll always have a way to make you talk. Moreover, now that you've fallen into my hands, do you think this matter will spread to the black-robed race? Perhaps when you fell into my hands, the black-robed race had already regarded you as a traitor, Lin Feng said indifferently. He had been observing the changes in Supremacy Yuan's eyes. Lin Feng's words were actually a psychological attack. Because Lin Feng wasn't sure if what he said was right or if he could poke at Supremacy Yuan's weakness. Lin Feng realized that after he said those words, Supremacy Yuan's pupils contracted violently. It seemed that those words had indeed touched Supremacy Yuan's heart. It seemed. The black-robed race was indeed an extremely heartless race. Moreover, Lin Feng's analysis was very likely to be close to the actual situation. That was why Supremacy Yuan had such an expression on his face. Supremacy Yuan Tian, if you join me, I can guarantee your safety, Lin Feng said. Supremacy Yuan Tian sneered. Save it. You want to protect me with your puny cultivation? You don't even know what you are capable of. Don't think that I don't know anything about you. You can activate the power of Hui Bao because of the Jade Talisman, but clearly, you can't activate the Jade Talisman as you wish. This supreme treasure is highly repulsive to the outsiders. Therefore, even though you've refined the Jade Talisman, it's still impossible for you to activate it as you wish. If you can't borrow the power of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, can your Hui Bao kill a quasi-true immortal? Even a Sky Immortal powerhouse might not be able to kill it. With your cultivation, how can you guarantee my safety? Said Lin Feng. I can help you change your fate. After that, your qi will change. At that time, the strong cultivators of the Black Changpao clan won't be able to sense your qi. After that, you will obtain even more benefits. At that time, your cultivation will increase like an ordinary person's. It won't be like it is now. It won't be like it is now. It won't be like it is now. You have such an ability? Supremacy Yuan couldn't help but be shocked. In fact, it was relatively easy to instigate someone like Supremacy Yuan to defect. Why was that? Because Supremacy Yuan was a being that had transcended eras. Her family might have died long ago. Over the long years, the bloodline connection between races had become extremely thin. Therefore, the honor of a race wasn't that strong. The sense of belonging to a race wasn't that strong either. The reason these beings that had transcended eras were still gathered together was because of the drive of interest. If Lin Feng gave Zun Tianyuan hope, Zun Tianyuan naturally didn't want to die. Why had she chosen the path of death before? Actually, at the end of the day, it was because she felt tired. Moreover, she hated the feeling of becoming weaker and weaker. Now Lin Feng's words had given her hope of living like a normal person. Is everything you said true? Supremacy Yuan looked at Lin Feng and asked. Of course it's true. Lin Feng caressed Zun Lord Yuan Tian's delicate face. He said, I have many abilities. You'll know how powerful I am in the future. When the time comes, you probably won't be willing to leave even if I ask you to. Supremacy Yuan said. That'll have to wait until you can really change my fate. Lin Feng said. Of course, but I have a request. What request? Supremacy Yuan asked. You have to swear allegiance to me because I'll never do something like releasing a tiger back into the mountains. Lin Feng said. Supremacy Yuan's expression changed. Finally she said, if you can really help me, I'll agree. Of course, I'll agree to it. Then you can make the oath. After you make the oath, I'll immediately help you. I'll help you immediately, said Lin Feng. Supremacy Yuan bit her lip and began to make the oath. I, Supremacy Yuan, am willing to make an oath. If Lin Feng can change my fate, I'll be loyal to Lin Feng and will never betray Lin Feng. If I betray Lin Feng, I'll die a horrible death. After Zun Tianyuan made the oath, Lin Feng immediately felt a strong connection with Zun Tianyuan. Lin Feng began to recite the incantation of the Great Fate technique. Great Path of Fate, I'll use the power of fate to change the fate of this woman in front of me. Please descend the power of fate, and let me completely change her life aura. After Lin Feng's incantation fell, the power of fate descended from the sky and poured into Supremacy Yuan's body. Supremacy Yuan immediately felt that her life aura was being changed. Everyone's life aura was different. And a person's life aura was already destined from birth. What was destined from birth was fate. This couldn't be changed. However, Lin Feng had mastered the Great Fate technique. As his cultivation increased, Lin Feng's research on the Great Fate technique became deeper and deeper. Therefore, Lin Feng had mastered many amazing methods. Others couldn't change a person's fate. However, Lin Feng could do it. Chapter 45-21. My life aura has really changed. Supremacy Yuan's face revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. She could clearly feel the changes in her life aura. This change made Supremacy Yuan extremely excited. Because Lin Feng was telling the truth, Zun Lord Yuan Tian realized that Lin Feng was telling the truth. Lin Feng seemed to have the ability to change her fate. As time passed, Supremacy Yuan's life aura was subtly changing. Every race had their own life aura. As for each person, although they were of the same race, However, their life auras were completely different. That was the most shocking part of it all. All kinds of different life auras could allow people to determine the specific identity of this person. For example, if Lin Feng's life aura was remembered by someone, even if he used the Grand Essence Movement technique to change his current appearance, he would still be recognized. The reason was that a person's appearance would change, but a person's life aura would not change. Lin Feng planned to change Supremacy Yuan's life aura to that of a human cultivator. In this way, no one would know that Supremacy Yuan was a living being that had crossed eras. When the time came, he would let Supremacy Yuan wear a veil. No one would be able to see Supremacy Yuan's appearance. Therefore, as long as Supremacy Yuan did not deliberately expose herself, no one would be able to discover Supremacy Yuan's true identity. Lin Feng spent 2 days to completely change Supremacy Yuan's appearance. Supremacy Yuan's life aura became that of a human cultivator. Now, anyone who saw Supremacy Yuan would say that she was a female cultivator of the human race, not a female cultivator of the lost races of the era. Immediately, Lin Feng continued to chant the incantation. This time, Lin Feng began to change Supremacy Yuan's fate, with the foundation from before. Therefore, it seemed much easier to use the Great Fate technique to change Supremacy Yuan's fate this time. The Great Tao of Fate, please descend with the flow of fate. I will use the power of fate to change this poor woman's fate. Lin Feng's incantation rang out. When his incantation fell, the power of fate descended again. This time, the power of destiny began to change Supremacy Yuan's fate. It was indeed difficult to change a person's fate. Lin Feng tried many times but discovered that he couldn't change Supremacy Yuantian's fate. However, Lin Feng did not give up. He tried again and again. After trying many times in a row, finally, there was a slight change in Supremacy Yuan's fate. As the saying goes, 1,000-mile dike bursting begins with an ant's nest. When the gears of fate began to turn, when the birth providence began to change, Supremacy Yuantian's fate began to change subtly. Time passed. 10 days later, Supremacy Yuantian's fate was finally changed by Lin Feng. Supremacy Yuantian had never been as relaxed as he was now. She had never felt so comfortable before. Previously, Supremacy Yuantian's cultivation kept falling, and his body was also weakening. This feeling nearly drove Heavenly Venerate Yuan crazy. However, Supremacy Yuan Tian felt that his body had become even stronger than before. His realm had also become much stronger than before. It's really done! Heavenly Venerate Yuan opened his eyes. She still couldn't believe it. Because even in the Black-Robed clan, it was extremely rare for someone to be able to change fate. Supremacy Yuantian originally thought that there was no hope for her in this life. Who would have thought that Lin Feng would actually help her change her fate? At this moment, Supremacy Yuantian actually cried tears of joy. This was like a person trapped in a desert. He was already filled with despair. However, in the next moment, someone brought him out of the desert. This kind of joy came from the bottom of his heart. Therefore, Supremacy Yuantian was crying now, not because he was sad, but because he was excited. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. This woman wouldn't throw herself into his arms, right? When the time came, should he refuse? Or should he accept it? What Lin Feng imagined didn't happen. Supremacy Yuantian was very grateful to Lin Feng for helping her change her fate. However, she wouldn't throw herself into Lin Feng's arms. Supremacy Yuantian was a proud person. Just as she had said before. She wouldn't become a vassal of any man. After Supremacy Yuantian's emotions stabilized a little, Lin Feng said, "Now you can impart the Black-Robed Clan's Immortal Sutra to me." Supremacy Yuantian said, "The Black-Robed Clan's Immortal Sutra is called the Dark Indestructible Immortal Sutra. It is divided into 3 parts, and I only got the first part. The second part! I didn't even get it!" Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned slightly. "What was your cultivation at your peak? With your cultivation, you still don't have the qualifications to get the second parts of the Immortal Sutra?" Supremacy Yuantian said, "At my peak, I was a peak true immortal. Unless I broke through to the true immortal realm. Only then am I qualified to get the second part of the Immortal Sutra. As for when I got the second part of the Immortal Sutra, I don't know," Lin Feng said with some surprise. "Isn't the true immortal realm the limit of cultivation?" "Of course not," Supremacy Yuantian said. "It's different now. Many people like to give themselves a more awesome name. For example, some cultivators who are only great emperors dare to give themselves the title of Sacred Ancestor. It sounds very domineering. But in the era of titled gods, the word sacred can't be used casually. In the era of titled gods, the sacred emperor of the human race, the sacred sage of the demon race. Only people like them can be called sacred," Lin Feng said. "In other words, above the true immortal realm is the sacred realm?" Supremacy Yuantian nodded and said, "That's right. Above the true immortal realm is the sacred realm. For example, those who can reverse fate and cross several epochs without dying can be called sacred. Transcending immortal and entering the sacred realm. Then what is the realm above the sacred realm?" Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. "I don't know about that. My strength couldn't even touch the threshold of the sage realm when I was at my peak. Therefore, I don't know much about the matters above the sage realm. Perhaps the sage realm is the pinnacle of a cultivator." Lin Feng couldn't help but ask, "What were the cultivation levels of the titled gods in the era of titled gods?" Supremacy Yuantian said, "The titled gods in the era of titled gods were divided into various grades and ranks. The weakest titled gods were roughly equivalent to the current great emperors, but such titled gods couldn't be considered true gods. They could only govern a very small area. For example, the mountain god of a certain mountain forest belonged to this category." Chapter 45-22. If they go even higher, those titled gods can manage an entire sea. In some countries, these titled gods are basically at the level of true immortals. These titled gods are the true gods in the hearts of countless people. As for those ancient sacred emperors, they are the leaders of various races. Many monarchs of countries have to listen to their orders." After hearing Supremacy Yuan's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. It turned out that the division of titled gods in the era of titled gods was actually so strict. Supremacy Yuan continued, "Of course, in the era of titled gods, there are also many experts apart from those titled gods. However, those experts haven't been crowned by the investiture of the gods and don't have the title of titled gods. Therefore, those titled gods are false gods. The strength of a false god isn't necessarily weak. Many false gods are much stronger than titled gods. Some of the strongest false divinities are even able to contend against ancient saint emperors. After Supremacy Yuan's introduction, Lin Feng already had a more intuitive understanding of the division of experts in the era of titled gods. Of course, what interested Lin Feng the most was the Immortal Sutra passed down by the black-robed clan. Although it was only the contents of the first volume, it still had a lot of research value. Now pass me the contents of the first volume of the Immortal Darkness Immortal Sutra, Lin Feng said. Supremacy Yuan nodded and then took out a jade tube. She imprinted the contents of the first half of the Immortal Darkness Immortal Sutra into the jade tube. Then, she handed it over to Lin Feng. Now wasn't the time to study the Immortal Darkness Immortal Sutra. Therefore, Lin Feng directly put the jade tube into time and space. He didn't stay here. Instead, he left with Supremacy Yuan. He wondered if Snow Lady had already arrived at the agreed place. Lin Feng didn't delay at all along the way. He rushed to the deepest part of the underground world with Supremacy Yuan as fast as he could. 7 days later, Lin Feng and Supremacy Yuan arrived at the deepest part of the underground world. In the deepest part was a dark world. Outside the dark world, there was a huge mountain range. The Snow Maiden stood at the peak of a mountain. She also saw Lin Feng. The Snow Maidens were delighted to see Lin Feng. However, for some reason, the Snow Lady felt a little uncomfortable when she saw Supremacy Yuan Tian beside Lin Feng. Soon, Lin Feng met up with the Snow Maiden. Who is she? Before Lin Feng could speak, the Snow Lady looked at Lin Feng and asked. Lin Feng said, She's an expert from the black-robed clan of the Epic Era, and she's called Exalted Lord Yuan. However, she's already turned over a new leaf and severed all ties with the heinous black-robed clan. Snow Maiden nodded and didn't say much. Then she said, The secret zone is in the depths, but it's very dangerous inside. We have to be careful. Otherwise, we might die inside. Yes. Lin Feng nodded solemnly. Then, he, the Snow Lady, and Venerable Lord Yuan Tian flew into that dark world. This place was very strange. The power of darkness permeated between heaven and earth. That power made people shudder. Lin Feng and the other two were very careful. In fact, the Snow Lady didn't know much about this place. She had entered this place by mistake. Then, they saw the Snow Spirit Bone fire. However, according to the Snow Lady, there should be something terrifying lurking in this place. Because of this, Lin Feng was very careful. He wanted to find the terrifying existence lurking in the dark. However, after a careful search, they didn't find anything. If it was really as the Snow Lady said, there were some terrifying existences hidden in this place. Then, if he couldn't find those terrifying existences, it was enough to show how powerful they were. Lin Feng realized that Supremacy Yuan Tian couldn't help but frown. Clearly, Supremacy Yuan Tian didn't find anything either. The three of them walked all the way into the depths. It was very quiet in the darkness. They could even hear their well-proportioned footsteps. However, other than the sound of footsteps, there seemed to be no other sound. There were no ferocious beasts here. Of course, there could be some ferocious beasts living here. However, those ferocious beasts were hibernating. The three of them continued to go deeper into the dark world. Not long after, they saw a 30-meter-long river appear in the forest. The river was about to dry up. The water was very shallow. On the other side of the river, there was a faint holy light. Upon closer inspection, it was a spirit beast that looked like a deer. A sacred deer beast. It was an extremely rare creature. It was rumored that the sacred deer beast was as pure as a unicorn. However, there were much fewer sacred deer beasts than unicorns. Lin Feng didn't expect to see a sacred deer beast here. What was even more unexpected was that the sacred deer beast he saw was already dead. The sacred deer beast was lying on the ground. A ball of black gas was floating around the sacred deer beast. What the hell is that? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He felt the dangerous aura from that ball of black gas. Clearly, that ball of black gas wasn't simple. However, what exactly was that ball of black gas? Lin Feng wasn't too sure either. At that moment, the ball of black gas seemed to sense the arrival of Lin Feng's group. Suddenly, the ball of black gas started to distort violently. In the next instant, the ball of black gas transformed into an extremely ugly human face. The face had a pair of sinister eyes. When Lin Feng saw those eyes, he couldn't help but frown. Those eyes. They made him feel uneasy. "Be careful," Lin Feng said in a low voice. "Quick, look! Who's here? Isn't that the descendant of the Sovereign Emperor clan and the Undying clan? How interesting. Two ancient clans have the same descendant." All of a sudden, the hideous human face cried out in excitement. It slowly flew towards Lin Feng's group. "Stop right there," Lin Feng said in a low voice. That incomparably ugly face said, "What? Are you afraid? You have such a powerful bloodline, but you're so cowardly? If that's the case, you're a disgrace to your ancestors. Who the hell are you? Do you know any of my ancestors?" Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The being in front of him only had a face left. More accurately, it was a face formed from demonic qi. However, it still made Lin Feng's heart tremble. It was hard to imagine just how terrifying this fellow was. The face said, "I do, of course I do. In fact, I'm very familiar with you. Which ancestor of mine do you know?" Lin Feng asked. Chapter 45-23. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. He hadn't expected this fellow to know his ancestor, the Lord of Gods. Moreover, when he talked about the Lord of Gods, he was gnashing his teeth. Did this mean that there was a deep grudge between him and the Lord of Gods? Looking at this fellow's appearance and sensing his aura, it was obvious that this fellow wasn't a good person. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel gloomy. Had he encountered an enemy of his ancestor? Why was he so unlucky? Fortunately, this fellow was only left with a face formed from demonic energy, so he shouldn't be as much of a threat as before. Lin Feng silently took out the Hell King's bell, the 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram, the Buddhist treasure Kasaya, and other supreme treasures. These treasures were all capable of restraining evil spirits. Snow Lady and Exalted Lord Yuan Tian also realized that this existence wasn't to be trifled with. Moreover, his killing intent towards them was very strong. Thus, the two of them took out their powerful treasures as well. The ugly face naturally saw what Lin Feng's group was doing. However, he didn't curse them. Maybe from his point of view, Lin Feng and the two others were doing nothing but wasting their time. "Sir, do you have a grudge with my ancestor, the Lord of Gods?" Lin Feng asked. The ugly face roared angrily. "I hate it! I hate it! I became like this. It's all the Lord of God's fault. The Lord of Gods deserves to die. He deserves to die." Lin Feng asked. "You said it was my ancestors' fault? What exactly happened back then? You want to know? Then go ask the King of Hell," the ugly face said in a sinister tone. Then, he quickly pounced on Lin Feng. "Attack!" Lin Feng coldly shouted in the face of the ugly face's attack. Next, he took out several powerful Dharma treasures and attacked the ugly face. The Snow Lady and Yuan Tian's supremacy also took action. They summoned their magic treasures and attacked the ugly face. The three people's magical weapons flew in front of the ugly face in an instant. They were about to bombard the ugly face's body. But at this moment, the ugly face opened its mouth and spat. All of a sudden, a large amount of devil chi rolled out, directly sending Lin Feng and the others' magic treasures flying. It was hard to imagine how terrifying this terrifying existence was. His tyranny made people's hair stand on end. When he saw that everyone's Dharma treasures had been sent flying, Lin Feng felt that something was amiss. He, the Snow Lady, and Supremacy Yuan Tian quickly retreated. But it was too late. At this time, the terrifying human face had already reached Lin Feng's side. Lin Feng was aghast to discover that his body seemed to have been imprisoned, and he was unable to move at all. This was an extremely terrible situation. Once his body was restrained, he would become a fish on the chopping board. "Kid, I'm going to eat you!" The ugly face let out a burst of sinister laughter. It began to grow rapidly. Then it wanted to eat Lin Feng in one bite. The situation was extremely dangerous. Lin Feng's heart was filled with shock and despair. At this moment, he really couldn't find a way to fight against this terrifying existence in front of him. Lin Feng wanted to use the heaven patching art to avoid being swallowed by this terrifying existence. But he discovered that after being imprisoned, he couldn't even use the heaven patching art. Clearly, this terrifying existence had already calculated all the possible scenarios that could occur. Lin Feng was about to be swallowed by this terrifying existence. At this critical moment, Lin Feng's Sovereign Emperor's study suddenly activated. The 6 devouring black holes in Lin Feng's dantian also activated of their own accord. The 6 black holes instantly merged into one. Lin Feng's ancestors appeared in the black holes. Whoosh! With a flash of light, one of Lin Feng's ancestors walked out of the black holes. It was an illusory figure. It was the projection of one of Lin Feng's ancestors branded in his bloodline. This existence was wearing a divine robe. He was very young. He was very handsome. He was like an immortal god. He was like the ruler of heaven and earth. When he appeared, a myriad of doves resonated, and golden lotuses bloomed from the ground. He slapped his palm toward the ugly face. Bang! In the next moment, he collided with the ugly face. Accompanied by a violent collision sound, the ugly face was directly sent flying. "Ah, it's you! It's you, Master of Gods! This is a bloodline manifestation. You've been dead for so many years, why didn't you manifest your bloodline? The dead shouldn't be able to manifest their bloodline, right? Why is that? Why is that? Today, I'll let you die once more." The ugly face roared when it saw Lin Feng's bloodline projection. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, he breathed out demonic energy that filled the sky. The demonic energy transformed into a demonic army of hundreds of millions, crushing toward the projection of the Master of Gods. Lin Feng looked at the projection of the Master of Gods floating in front of him in shock. He had never seen his ancestor so close. Was his ancestor really dead? Or perhaps he was still alive in this world? Regardless of whether he was still alive or not, his strength back then was unimaginable. After the era of the titled gods, the cultivation system collapsed. It was his ancestor who created a new cultivation system, allowing the declining cultivation world to flourish once more. This alone was enough to show how high the status of the Master of Gods was. The ugly face in front of him might have been killed by his ancestor, the Master of Gods, when he was alive. That was why he hated his ancestor so much. Lin Feng didn't know who this guy was, but Lin Feng knew that no matter who he was, he definitely wasn't a good person back then. Facing the densely packed devil army that was crushing towards them, Yi Zichen was stunned. The projection of the Master of Gods reached out his right hand and tapped lightly in the air. Bang! Then, all the demonic army dissipated. "Destroy!" The projection of the Master of Gods spoke. His voice was like the heavenly voice of the heavenly Tao, resounding between heaven and earth. He slapped his palm toward the ugly face again. After this slap, the word, "destroy," condensed on top of the Master of God's palm. The ugly face once again breathed out a large amount of demonic energy to block the attack of the Master of Gods. The two sides collided once more. This time, the ugly face condensed from demonic energy directly exploded. A large amount of demonic energy was directly reduced to ashes. In the end, only a small amount of demonic energy escaped. "Master of Gods! I am immortal and indestructible! Just you wait! I will reincarnate! I will slaughter your entire family!" Chapter 45-24. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he saw the ball of demonic aura escape. He felt a little helpless because he couldn't keep that ball of demonic aura. That guy's methods were indeed very terrifying. After all, his ancestor, the Master of Gods, was just a projection of his bloodline. Although it was very powerful, it wasn't omnipotent. Therefore, the projection of the Master of Gods couldn't keep that ball of demonic aura. Inheritance. The projection of the Master of Gods turned to look at Lin Feng and revealed a gratified expression. Then, the projection of the Master of Gods turned into specks of starlight, and then disappeared. The crisis in front of him was finally resolved. Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. However, his mood soon became serious again. The guy who escaped was definitely extremely terrifying. His identity was still a mystery, but he was obviously an extremely ancient existence. Fortunately, he had just been injured by his ancestor. He probably wouldn't come out to stir up trouble for a while. He still needed to quickly raise his realm. Only when he was strong enough. Only then could he deal with all the unknown situations. Lin Feng didn't like to entrust his fate to others. The feeling of being unable to resist the ugly face just now was hard for Lin Feng to accept. "Let's go inside and take a look," Lin Feng said. He urgently wanted to raise his strength, and refining the snow spirit bone fire was the best way. Lin Feng took the lead and walked inside. After the ugly face escaped, the atmosphere here became less oppressive. However, Lin Feng and the other two still didn't let down their guard. Maybe there were other dangers. There was nothing wrong with being careful. However, Lin Feng and the other two didn't encounter any danger for the rest of the journey. They couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Finally, they entered a deep and serene cave in the depths of the mountain. After passing through a long passage, the three of them arrived at the depths of the cave. In the depths of the cave, there was a huge stone room. Obviously, someone had built a cave for cultivation here. When Lin Feng arrived, he saw a cluster of flames burning in the center of the cave. That cluster of flames was very special. It was a white flame. Other flames were incomparably hot, but the aura emitted by this cluster of white flames was incomparably cold. Snow spirit bone fire. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. He had finally found the snow spirit bone fire. After seeing the snow spirit bone fire, Lin Feng suddenly felt extremely excited. He was finally going to break through to the Emperor Lord Realm. Anyone would be excited when faced with a major turning point in their life, right? Lin Feng was naturally the same. In the cave, Lin Feng also saw 3 corpses in addition to the heaven fire. The heavenly flame hovered above one of the corpses, while the other 2 corpses lay not far from it. Among the 3 corpses, there were 2 male corpses and 1 female corpse. The corpse under the heavenly fire should be the owner of the heavenly fire, right? Who was this person? Who were the other 2 corpses? Their weapons fell to the ground. Had they experienced a great battle when they were alive? In the end, both sides would suffer and die. I originally thought that one of the 3 should be the previous incarnation of that ugly face, but now it seems like that's not the case. I wonder where that ugly face came from? Lin Feng couldn't help but think. He didn't stop at all. Instead, he quickly walked towards the snow spirit bone fire. As he gradually approached the snow spirit bone fire, Lin Feng felt that the surrounding temperature was getting colder and colder. His body actually began to freeze. Lin Feng circulated the heavenly fire and dissolved the coldness emitted by the snow spirit bone fire. Snow Lady and Supremacy Yuan Tian obviously didn't feel good either. Lin Feng said, "You guys can just retreat." Hearing this, the 2 women nodded. They didn't go too far forward. Instead, they retreated more than 10 meters. Lin Feng carefully approached the snow spirit bone fire. The reason why he was so careful was because Lin Feng knew that some heavenly flames would form fire spirits. If there were fire spirits, those heavenly flames were extremely terrifying. And they were very aggressive. If he wasn't careful, he might die under the attack of the heavenly flames. So, Lin Feng naturally had to be extremely careful when dealing with the heavenly flames. It was better to be safe than sorry. In history, countless peerless powerhouses had died because of a moment of carelessness. Lin Feng didn't want to see such a thing happen. Lin Feng gradually approached the snow spirit bone fire. When he was 3 meters away from the snow spirit bone fire, Lin Feng planned to collect the snow spirit bone fire. But at this moment, the snow spirit bone fire violently distorted. "Go to hell!" A cold voice came from within the snow spirit bone fire. Then, the snow spirit bone fire flew towards Lin Feng, wanting to envelop Lin Feng and then kill Lin Feng. It actually produced a fire spirit. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. When Snow Lady came here, the snow spirit bone fire had yet to produce a spirit. Of course, it was also possible that it had already produced a spirit. It was just that when Snow Lady came here, the spirit of the snow spirit bone fire had yet to awaken. But now, the spirit of the snow spirit bone fire had already awakened. Fortunately, Lin Feng was already prepared. Therefore, when he saw the snow spirit bone fire flying towards him, the 6 heavenly fires in his body immediately flew out. Then, the 6 heavenly fires wrapped around Lin Feng. Lin Feng slapped his palm towards the snow spirit bone fire. Bang! A dull sound of collision rang out. The snow spirit bone fire was sent flying by Lin Feng's slap. Ah! 6 heavenly fires. You actually refined 6 heavenly fires. If I devour you, what level will I evolve into? The snow spirit bone fire cried out excitedly when it saw the 6 heavenly fires that Lin Feng took out. Snow Lady and Supremacy Yuan Tian behind Lin Feng also had an expression of disbelief. Heavenly fires were precious. Refining one type of heavenly fire was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. What was more, refining 6 types of heavenly fire. Lin Feng had refined 6 types of heavenly fire. It was unbelievable. Snow Spirit World Destruction. The Snow Spirit Heavenly Fire roared. Suddenly, endless flames surged out. The flames formed an independent world. It directly swallowed Lin Feng, Snow Lady, and Supremacy Yuan Tian into this world. This was a world formed by the Snow Spirit Bone Fire. In this world, its combat strength reached the pinnacle. It wanted to use this world to kill Lin Feng and then devour Lin Feng's 6 heavenly fires. Burning wrath of the heavens. Lin Feng sneered. He used his self-created technique, burning wrath of the heavens. Lin Feng condensed the 6 heavenly fires into a ball of fire. Lin Feng took out the ball of fire. Next, the ball of fire turned into a fire dragon in midair. The fire dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws, roaring. Chapter 45-25. The power of the fire dragon formed by the 6 heavenly fires was naturally terrifying. Therefore, when the snow spirit bone fire saw the fire dragon formed by the 6 heavenly fires pouncing towards it, it didn't dare to take the fire dragon's attack head-on. The snow spirit bone fire quickly disappeared. Its whereabouts were unknown. When Lin Feng tried to search for the snow spirit bone fire with his divine will, he couldn't find the whereabouts of the snow spirit bone fire. He didn't know where the snow spirit bone fire had run off to. Lin Feng guessed that the snow spirit bone fire should have merged with this world. It was at this moment that countless icy creatures were formed in this world. These ice creatures were all creatures formed by the snow spirit bone fire. The ice creatures formed an army and charged towards Lin Feng and the other 2. Explode! Lin Feng shouted coldly. The fire dragon formed by the 6 heavenly fires directly exploded. The destructive power surged in all directions. Then, it violently bombarded the crystal wall of this world. Kacha-kacha sounds were heard. The crystal wall of this world couldn't withstand the self-destruction of the fire dragon. It directly shattered. The snow spirit bone fire revealed its form. How is this possible? The snow spirit bone fire cried out unwillingly. It originally thought that with the world it formed, it could deal with Lin Feng. But things didn't go as it wished. The world couldn't cause any harm to Lin Feng. Instead, the world was destroyed by Lin Feng. The snow spirit bone fire was severely injured. At this moment, Lin Feng took out the gourd of creation. The gourd of creation flew above the snow spirit bone fire and opened the stopper. A powerful devouring power surged out continuously. The gourd of creation began to devour the snow spirit bone fire. The gourd of creation! It's the gourd of creation! The snow spirit bone fire cried out in surprise. This guy was quite knowledgeable. It even knew the gourd of creation. A large amount of fire surged out of the snow spirit bone fire. Then, the flames turned into something that resembled a whip. That thing that looked like a long whip. It struck the gourd of fortune hard and sent it flying. Then, the snow spirit bone fire dashed outside, wanting to escape. This guy saw that he was no match for Lin Feng. Therefore, he planned to escape. However, Lin Feng did not give the snow spirit bone fire a chance to escape. He immediately summoned 6 devouring black holes. The 6 black holes instantly merged into one. Then, it enveloped the snow spirit bone fire. You want to devour me? I won't let you succeed! The snow spirit bone fire roared furiously. It began to struggle violently, trying to break free from the restraints of Lin Feng's devouring black hole. But then, Lin Feng's gourd of fortune flew over. The gourd of fortune emitted a powerful devouring power. It directly devoured the snow spirit bone fire. Then, the gourd of fortune stopper was plugged into the mouth of the gourd. The snow spirit bone fire was successfully suppressed. After doing all this, Lin Feng could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The snow spirit bone fire had been suppressed. Next, he had to find a place to refine the snow spirit bone fire. Lin Feng planned to check the identities of the 3 dead people. He took off their storage rings. Then, he used his divine consciousness to invade them. Lin Feng found that their storage rings were damaged. It was a pity. If they were not damaged, with their strength, there should be many good things in their storage rings. However, since they were damaged, there was nothing he could do. Some things could not be forced. Lin Feng naturally understood this. Therefore, he would not force these things. Lin Feng searched the 3 people's bodies, but didn't find anything. Therefore, the cause of their deaths was a mystery. Lin Feng said, "We can't stay here for long. Let's go!" The 2 girls nodded. They left with Lin Feng. Soon, they left the area. Lin Feng was going to try to break through to the Emperor realm. When he broke through, he would have to undergo the tribulation. The underground world was not suitable for undergoing the tribulation. Therefore, Lin Feng decided to leave the underground world for the time being. He, Snow Lady, and Supremacy Yuan Tian left the underground world and came to the forest outside. Then, Lin Feng went into seclusion. The relationship between Snow Lady and Supremacy Yuan Tian was relatively cold. They didn't communicate much in private. Lin Feng could only smile wryly in response. Lin Feng sat cross-legged. Then, he took out the creation gourd. Lin Feng's divine consciousness invaded the creation gourd. Then, he heard the curses of the snow spirit bone fire. "Brat, I curse you to die a horrible death! Brat, I curse you to end up 10 times more miserable than me!" This guy seemed to know that Lin Feng did not intend to let it go. Therefore, it did not beg for mercy. All kinds of curses came out at Lin Feng. "Death is at hand. If you want to curse, then curse. Anyway, you won't have the chance to curse me in the future," Lin Feng said indifferently. Then, Lin Feng began to summon the 6 heavenly fires. The 6 heavenly fires entered the creation gourd one after another. Under Lin Feng's control, the 6 heavenly fires assisted the creation gourd and began to refine the soul of the snow spirit bone fire. Lin Feng naturally would not let the soul of the snow spirit bone fire survive, refining the other party's soul to death once and for all. Moreover, this guy's mouth was too smelly. The moment it came up, it cursed Lin Feng. How could Lin Feng let it live? 3 days later, the soul of the snow spirit bone fire was refined to death. In the end, only the purest heavenly fire origin was left. Lin Feng began to refine the snow spirit bone fire's heavenly fire origin. The snow spirit bone fire had just been devoured by Lin Feng. Lin Feng discovered that his body was beginning to freeze. This time, the ice was freezing from the inside out. Lin Feng discovered that his internal organs, bones, and blood were rapidly freezing. Lin Feng felt that his soul was about to be frozen. The snow spirit bone fire was an extremely cold fire. This kind of flame was very terrifying. If he was the slightest bit careless, he might be seriously injured or even killed by the snow spirit bone fire. Lin Feng was naturally very clear about this point. From the beginning to the end, he had never underestimated the snow spirit bone fire. Just as his body began to freeze, the 6 heavenly fires were activated by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's body had long adapted to the 6 heavenly fires. So, at this moment, under Lin Feng's control, the 6 heavenly fires protected Lin Feng's body. His body that was gradually freezing began to quickly unfreeze. Under the suppression of the 6 heavenly fires, the snow spirit bone fire was finally suppressed in Lin Feng's dantian, unable to move. Then, Lin Feng began to refine the snow spirit bone fire. Refining the heavenly fire was not easy. Even though Lin Feng had already refined the heavenly fire 6 times. However, when refining the new heavenly fire, it was still very difficult. Especially since this kind of heavenly fire was very different from the previous 6 types of heavenly fire. However, the heavens did not disappoint those who worked hard. Lin Feng spent half a month's time and finally succeeded in refining the snow spirit bone fire. And the mana in Lin Feng's body began to surge crazily. Between his brows, the light of calamity flickered, and outside, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Chapter 45-26. Lin Feng opened his eyes. He walked out of the cave where he was in seclusion. At this moment, Snow Lady and Supremacy Yuan had already walked out. They looked at the sea of lightning above the 9 heavens and couldn't help but feel shocked. Even though it was a perfected immortal tribulation, it was probably not as terrifying as this, right? Lin Feng's tribulation transcendence. Wasn't it too terrifying? Lin Feng flew towards the center of the heavenly tribulation. In the following period of time, Lin Feng began to transcend the tribulation. The Imperial Lord Tribulation was very terrifying. Even with Lin Feng's powerful methods, it was extremely difficult for him to transcend the Imperial Lord Tribulation. High-grade immortal stones piled up like mountains burned. They provided Lin Feng with the boundless energy he needed to transcend the tribulation. 1 day, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days. Lin Feng actually spent a total of 60 days transcending the tribulation this time. Lin Feng didn't even know how many tribulations he had transcended. Several times. Lin Feng almost thought that he was dead for sure. But he didn't give up. He persevered. The final result was not bad. Lin Feng passed the most difficult period. He successfully withstood all the tribulations. Lin Feng lay on the ground, panting heavily. Snow Lady and Supremacy Yuan flew over. Seeing that Lin Feng was still alive, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Feng, Snow Lady, and Supremacy Yuan left. He found a place to enter seclusion for a few days and adjusted his condition to the best. Lin Feng's realm stopped at the first level of the Imperial Lord realm. Lin Feng still had the source energy of a quasi-true immortal, but Lin Feng planned to stabilize his cultivation before refining the quasi-true immortal's source energy. After all, he had just broken through. If he continued to refine the quasi-true immortal's source energy to increase his cultivation, it might cause his foundation to be unstable. This wasn't what Lin Feng wanted to see. Other than that, Lin Feng still had one more thing to do. This matter was very important to him. That was to practice the 8 and 9 mysteries. Calculating the time, it was time to continue improving the 8 and 9 mysteries. However, it was not easy to improve the 8 and 9 mysteries. It required luck. Lin Feng's 8 and 9 mysteries was still at the stage where he could only cultivate but not use it. This was because the side effects of the 8 and 9 arcane art were too great. It would devour Lin Feng's lifespan. Therefore, Lin Feng would not use the 8-9 mysteries. However, Lin Feng had no choice but to cultivate the 8-9 arcane art. Because it was the end of the 8-9 mysteries. If the 8-9 arcane art didn't make a breakthrough, he would die. Lin Feng did a rough calculation and found that the 8-9 mysteries still had more than 10 years left. Therefore, although he was in a hurry to break through, but there was still some time to find a place to break through, Lin Feng planned to return to the Sin domain. Because Lin Feng still wanted to inquire about the descendants of Emperor Shun. Although Lin Feng had previously received news that the descendants of Emperor Shun had been annihilated by the Sacred Army. However, were there any descendants of Emperor Shun who had escaped? Lin Feng naturally hoped so. The descendants of the ancient sacred emperor of the human race should not be cut off just like that. Young master! I plan to leave for a period of time. I want to go to a place. Perhaps that place. It can allow me to quickly recover to the true immortal realm. Supremacy Yuan looked at Lin Feng and said. She didn't say where that place was, and Lin Feng didn't ask. However, since Supremacy Yuan said that that place could allow her cultivation to recover to the true immortal realm, Lin Feng naturally supported Supremacy Yuan going to that place. Because, after Supremacy Yuan broke through to the true immortal realm, she would be of great help to Lin Feng. All right. You go, Lin Feng said. Thank you, young master. When I break through to the true immortal realm, I will come to find you, Supremacy Yuan said. Lin Feng nodded. Supremacy Yuan didn't stay for long. She quickly left. Lin Feng looked at Snow Maiden and said, Will you leave with me? Snow Maiden hesitated. She hesitated. Do you have any concerns? Lin Feng asked. Snow Maiden said. Yes. Lin Feng grabbed Snow Maiden's hand and said, You don't have to worry about anything. I know that some things might have happened in the past that you don't want to recall. When you want to tell me, I am willing to listen. Snow Maiden's face reddened as Lin Feng grabbed her hand. She bit her lip and finally nodded. Lin Feng didn't know that because of him, many people in the world of the immortals had been astonished. Of course, even if Lin Feng knew about this, he wouldn't take it to heart. Since he was already in the Undying Realm, he would definitely cause trouble there. A month later, Lin Feng and Snow Maiden saw a village appear in the mountain range in front of them. It was a simple and unadorned mountain village. There were a few hundred families living there. There were many such villages in the Sin realm. In fact, it wasn't just the Sin realm. Villages could be seen everywhere in the other realms as well. Because most of the Undying Realm was covered in dense forests. There were many villages scattered in the forests. Let's go to the village to rest, Lin Feng said to Snow Maiden. Snow Maiden didn't want to interact with outsiders. However, she was now with Lin Feng. She was trying her best to adapt to living like a normal person. When Lin Feng and Snow Maiden appeared in the village, some children who were playing outside saw them. Fairy sister, look! It's Fairy sister! A child pointed at Snow Maiden. Snow Maiden was very beautiful. She was dressed in snow-white clothes. She had a beautiful face. She had a tall and slender figure. She indeed looked like a fairy who didn't belong to the mortal world. Such a peerless beauty, in the eyes of these children, was a fairy sister. The children weren't afraid of people. They ran over and looked up at Lin Feng and Snow Maiden. Big brother, you're with fairy sister? Who are you? Could you be fairy brother? A 3 or 4-year-old girl asked innocently. Do you still need to ask? It must be brother immortal, another older child said. The little girl continued asking. Then, did fairy brother kiss fairy sister? Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This little girl was only 3 or 4 years old, but she already knew how to kiss? Children's words carried no harm. Children's words carried no harm. Please don't offend Snow Maiden. Lin Feng looked at Snow Maiden and found that she wasn't angry. She was just blushing. He had to admit that Snow Maiden looked very charming when she was blushing. At that moment, some villagers walked out of the village. A middle-aged cultivator said. Young master, young miss, these children are immature and have disturbed you. Please forgive them. Lin Feng smiled and said, It's fine. I think they're very cute and innocent. It's already late, so we're planning to stay in the village for the night. Would that be convenient? The middle-aged man said. Of course. Please follow us. Chapter 45-27. In the evening. The bonfire was burning. The villagers in the mountain village were busy. Many women were making fires to cook. The children, on the other hand, were running around the mountain village, having fun. The mountain village had its own hunting team. The hunting team would go out to hunt every day. Of course, they wouldn't go too far away, nor would they hunt beasts that were too powerful. Everything was done according to their abilities. There were also some young people cultivating in the valley not far away. Every day, there would be elders teaching them how to cultivate. The Undying Realm was a world where everyone cultivated. Even the most ordinary mountain village had no ordinary people. They would all cultivate. However, according to everyone's talent, their strength was also different. Occasionally, some powerful people would come out of the small mountain village. If they could join some ancient sects, their future achievements would be limitless. Usually, after such a powerful person came out, the residents of the mountain village would also move out. After all, they had someone to rely on. It wouldn't be a problem to buy a mansion in the city and settle down the villagers. The Snow Lady was playing with the children in the village. She was smiling very happily. Perhaps she hadn't smiled so happily in a long time. Although when these children invited the Snow Lady wanted to reject them. The innocence of children. It could often purify the soul. It seemed that this sentence was true. Lin Feng chatted with a few men in the mountain village. The mountain village was called Xia Village. It was an extremely ancient mountain village. They had been rooted here for a long time. There were some cultivators with decent cultivation among their ancestors. But the strongest person was only at the Venerable Emperor level. Venerable Emperors were naturally very powerful cultivators in the mortal world. But in the Undying Realm, cultivators of this level were not considered strong. Some of the ferocious beasts in the mountains and forests could easily kill sovereigns. Now, the most powerful person in Xia Village was the old village chief. The old village chief only had one leg left, and he was leaning on a walking stick. It was said that he fought with beasts when he was young. One of his legs was bitten off by a beast. The old village chief smoked a pipe and sat not far away, basking in the sun. He was a man of few words. He wondered if it was because he had lost his leg that he had become so quiet. Or had he always been like this? After dinner was ready, some people who had gone to train in the nearby valley came back to eat. Not long after, the hunting villagers also returned, carrying more than 10 ferocious beasts. They would only keep a portion of the beast's meat. The rest of the meat was preserved and sold in the city along with the fur. Then, he would exchange them for some daily necessities and cultivation resources. After dinner, Lin Feng and the Snow Maiden enjoyed the moonlight together. Lin Feng discovered that the old village chief had ordered people to set up the table. On the table, there were tributes laid out. All the villagers came out. They kowtowed to the offerings placed on the table. It looks like a sacrificial ceremony, but there's no statue. Why is that? The Snow Lady asked in confusion. Lin Feng said, Maybe it's because of some taboo things, so they didn't put up the statue. After the ceremony, Lin Feng grabbed a young man's arm. This young man was called Xia Zhongyan, and he was the grandson of the old village chief. Xia Zhongyan's parents had passed away when he was young. Xia Zhongyan also had a brother called Xia Zhongjuan. Both of them were very hardworking in their cultivation, and they looked very simple and honest. Lin Feng asked, Zhongyan, what are you doing? Xia Zhongyan said, We are offering a sacrificial ceremony. Why didn't you put up the statue? Lin Feng asked. Xia Zhongyan said, This is a rule set by our ancestors, but I don't know why it's like this. Lin Feng couldn't get any useful information from Xia Zhongyan. Even the villagers didn't know the exact reason. In the past, some people might have known the reason. But now, it was all a mystery. However, this custom, the Xia family village had maintained this custom until now. After the sacrificial ceremony, the old village chief ordered people to carry out the 5 ancient cauldrons. There were many spiritual herbs in the cauldrons, and there was a pile of firewood below. After pouring some water, the old village chief ordered people to light the firewood. In an instant, the firewood burned fiercely. The scorching flames burned the cauldrons. Gradually, the herbs in the cauldrons dissolved. They turned into medicinal liquid. "Come, let's all soak," the old village chief said. This was a medicinal bath, a very common method. It was mainly used by young cultivators to temper their bodies. Lin Feng had also tried the medicinal bath when he was young. Even now, the memory was still fresh in his mind. The medicinal bath was a painful memory. His body was scalded until his skin was torn open. Then, the medicinal liquid was quickly absorbed by his body, and his injuries healed quickly. Of course, some big powers wouldn't let their children suffer like this, because those big powers had many amazing cultivation resources. The effect was many times better than medicinal baths. Medicinal baths were only used by some small powers. Many children wailed. They turned around and ran. "Catch them all," the old village chief said. Then, many adult villagers opened their mouths and chased after the escaping children. In the village, children from 6 to 13 years old had to soak in medicinal baths. Because this was the stage of laying the foundation. They let those children cry and scream. But it was useless. They were caught and brought back. Then, they were thrown into the cauldrons. If anyone wanted to crawl out, the old village chief would use the stick in his hand to hit them on the head. Many adults laughed in Schadenfreude, because they had also been through this. Some fathers even specialized in tricking their sons. After the old village chief's stick hit them, they would add another stick. The old village chief was very strict, because this was for their own good. The undying world was very dangerous, and they had to make themselves stronger. This way, their chances of survival would be greater. Lin Feng revealed a surprised expression, because he discovered that the 5 ancient cauldrons seemed to be somewhat extraordinary. He walked towards the 5 ancient cauldrons. Then, he carefully observed the 5 ancient cauldrons. The 5 ancient cauldrons indeed had a very ancient origin, and many of the patterns on them were already extremely blurry. Time had erased the patterns on them. However, Lin Feng still saw some extraordinary places on the 5 ancient cauldrons. The faintly visible patterns contained the power of the great Tao. "It doesn't look like an ordinary cauldron." Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that the 5 ancient cauldrons might have a great origin. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and released a strand of mana. When Lin Feng's mana surged into the ancient cauldron in front of him, the runes on the ancient cauldron flickered slightly. Then, a shocking scene appeared. A small golden dragon appeared in the spirit liquid inside the ancient cauldron. The small golden dragon swam back and forth around the ancient cauldron. Chapter 45-28. A small golden dragon, Yifutian murmured. The children in the ancient cauldron exclaimed. They felt very strange and wanted to reach out to grab the small golden dragon. But in the end, they gave up. In their subconscious, dragons were relatively powerful and noble creatures. In particular, the small golden dragon in front of them was like a miniature version of the Eastern divine dragon. Therefore, they did not dare to be too presumptuous. The others rushed over when they heard this. The old village chief exclaimed, "Is the rumor true? The ancient cauldron actually manifested a small golden dragon." Lin Feng looked at the old village chief and asked, "Old village chief, what rumor are you talking about?" The old village chief said, "It is said that these 5 ancient cauldrons are called the 5 dragon immortal cauldrons. Our ancestors specially created them for the children of the clan to temper their bodies. However, over the years, our clan has tried many times, but these 5 ancient cauldrons have never undergone any changes. At this moment, the small golden dragon in the ancient cauldron spewed out golden energy. The golden energy was also absorbed by the children's bodies. The children, who had been scalded until their flesh was lacerated, cried out in comfort. "It's like soaking in a hot spring. It's really comfortable." The children flopped around in the ancient cauldron with a look of enjoyment on their faces. The children in the other 4 ancient cauldrons had envious gazes. They looked at Lin Feng eagerly. "Big brother, help us!" one of the older children pleaded. Lin Feng walked forward and injected his magic power into the other 4 ancient cauldrons. Instantly, the runes on the other 4 ancient cauldrons seemed to have come to life. Next, a small golden dragon appeared in the other 4 ancient cauldrons. These small golden dragons were the same as the one in the first ancient cauldron. After circling the ancient cauldron a few times, they began to spit out golden energy. After the golden energy was absorbed by them, the pain disappeared. On the contrary, each of them seemed to be full of vigor. Obviously, they had obtained great benefits. Seeing this scene, the old village chief was very excited. Because the rumor was true. These 5 ancient cauldrons were really extraordinary. However, soon, the old village chief was puzzled. Why couldn't they activate the ancient cauldrons? However, Lin Feng was able to activate it. "Lin Gongzi, can you tell me how to activate the ancient cauldron?" the old village chief asked. Lin Feng said, "I injected my magic power into it, and the ancient cauldron was activated, but you guys couldn't activate the ancient cauldron. It's really strange. You just need to input your magic power? It's actually that simple?" The old village chief felt that it was inconceivable. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That is indeed the case. Let me think of a way to activate these 5 ancient cauldrons. Many thanks for young master's kindness." The old village head hurriedly thanked Lin Feng. "Elder, you don't have to be so polite," Lin Feng said. He felt that the key to activating the ancient cauldron might lie in the incomplete carvings. Because the ancient cauldron was badly damaged, the villagers were unable to activate it. However, Lin Feng did not know why he was able to activate the ancient cauldron. Lin Feng did not understand this matter. Lin Feng planned to repair the incomplete carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons. With Lin Feng's methods, he was not sure if he could do it, but Lin Feng would try. After the children finished tempering their bodies, Lin Feng ordered people to move the 5 ancient cauldrons to his residence. At night, Lin Feng began to study the missing carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons. These carvings were not particularly complicated, but they were very ancient. These were the runes that the human experts had imprinted on them. The carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons were almost exactly the same. Back then, the cultivator who forged the 5 ancient cauldrons must have forged 5 identical ancient cauldrons in one go. Thus, Lin Feng found a breakthrough point. Although the carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons were already damaged, however, the carvings on the cauldrons were different. Therefore, Lin Feng imprinted the carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons that were still intact on 5 pieces of white paper. Then, he compared them. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised to find that the carvings on the 5 pieces of white paper overlapped in many places, and the missing carvings could also be filled in. Of course, it was not realistic to completely restore these carvings to their original appearance. However, Lin Feng's current level of array formation was already very high, and there were places that could not be restored. Lin Feng began to deduce by himself. After a night of hard work, Lin Feng restored the carvings on the 5 ancient cauldrons of the past. Although there were some changes. However, the problem was not too big. Lin Feng followed the restored carvings and imprinted them on an ancient cauldron. Then, he called the old village chief. Let the old village chief try to activate the ancient cauldron. If he succeeded, Lin Feng would continue to restore the carvings on the other 4 ancient cauldrons. If he failed, he would only destroy one ancient cauldron. After the old village chief's magic power poured into the ancient cauldron, the ancient cauldron's carvings immediately recovered. Inside the ancient cauldron, a small golden dragon appeared. It's really a success. After seeing this scene, the old village chief was extremely excited. The ancient cauldron left behind by his ancestor had finally recovered its former glory. This made him feel very gratified. Old man, I will soon restore the other 4 ancient cauldrons, Lin Feng said. The old village chief said, Little friend, it's not too late to rest and do it later. Don't tire yourself out. We're not in a hurry, Lin Feng said with a smile. It's fine, I'm not tired. The old village chief left Lin Feng's place because he was afraid of disturbing Lin Feng. Lin Feng continued to repair the other 4 ancient cauldrons. The other 4 ancient cauldrons were quickly repaired by Lin Feng. The old village chief ordered people to carry the 5 ancient cauldrons to the empty space in the middle of the village. Then, like before, he placed the medicinal herbs, poured water, and lit the fire. Many children no longer ran away. Because when the ancient cauldron was activated, a small dragon would appear inside. They would soak in a medicinal bath. It was incomparably comfortable. After the children were done soaking in the medicinal bath, the older Xiaozongyan, Xiaozongjuan, and the others took off their clothes, leaving only their underwear on. Then, they entered the cauldron to soak in the medicinal bath. Every one of them had an expression of extreme enjoyment. They lamented in their hearts. Why didn't they receive such treatment when they were young? If Big Brother Lin Feng had come a few years earlier, they wouldn't have to suffer from the medicinal bath every day. That night, Lin Feng, who was resting, opened his eyes. This was because he felt that something was not right. Lin Feng walked out. Looking into the distance, he saw that in the depths of the mountain range, there was actually an incomparably huge blood-colored ancient tree. The blood-colored ancient tree's branches were swaying, but soon, the blood-colored ancient tree's figure disappeared. What's that? Lin Feng could not help but frown. He felt that the blood-colored ancient tree was definitely not simple. Perhaps the place where the blood-colored ancient tree was located hid a huge secret. Chapter 45-29. Young master, are you still awake? The village chief asked as he walked over to Lin Feng. Elder, aren't you awake as well? Lin Feng asked. The village chief said. I'm getting old, so I need less sleep. Lin Feng thought of the blood-colored tree that had just disappeared. Perhaps he could ask the village chief about it. Perhaps the village chief knew something about it. Asked Lin Feng. Mister, do you know anything about that blood-red tree? Asked Lin Feng. The village chief said. That blood-colored tree is located in a blood-colored mountain range in the depths of the forest. It wasn't that big, and it was just a projection. Normally, the blood-colored tree wouldn't show itself, but that's not always the case. Occasionally, the blood-colored tree would show signs similar to what you saw earlier. Elder, have you been there before? Lin Feng asked. The village chief shook his head. When I was young, I wanted to take a look, but when I thought of some rumors from my ancestors, I gave up on the idea. Oh? Rumors from your ancestors? What kind of rumors did your ancestors leave behind? Lin Feng asked curiously. My ancestors said, that place is very ominous. It's a cursed place. They told us not to go there no matter what, the village chief said. In truth, Lin Feng felt that the village chief's ancestors must have been very extraordinary. This could be deduced from the ancient cauldron they had left behind. However, it was clear that the village chief's bloodline had completely declined. That was why, over the years, no experts had emerged from this bloodline. Elder, may I know which bloodline of the human race you belong to? Lin Feng asked curiously. The village chief smiled bitterly. Young master, you're exaggerating. How could we dare to say which bloodline we belong to? Our bloodline is only of mortal blood and mortal physique. The strongest expert we've produced in the past was only at the sovereign realm. Lin Feng didn't say anything else. Their bloodline had already forgotten a part of their history. As such, it was very difficult to find out who their ancestors were. Only someone who had awakened their bloodline would be able to find out. However, it was clear that no one had awakened their ancestral bloodline after all these years. Tomorrow, I plan to have a look, Lin Feng said. Young master, please don't be rash. That place is very scary. Don't risk going to that place, the old village chief said. Don't worry. If I encounter any danger, I can retreat in time, Lin Feng said. The next day, Lin Feng told the Snow Maiden about this. He hoped that the Snow Lady would stay in the mountain village and not risk her life with him. However, the Snow Maiden didn't agree. She insisted on going with Lin Feng. Seeing the Snow Maiden's insistence, Lin Feng agreed. Big brother Lin! Be careful! Xia Zhongyan and Xia Zhongjuan warned. They liked to ask Lin Feng questions about their cultivation, and Lin Feng would patiently answer them. Lin Feng liked their hardworking attitude. Sometimes, they would go hunting with the uncles in the village. They were only around 20 years old, but their cultivations were already quite good. One of them was a giant god, while the other was a heavenly god. Of course, the undying realm was different from the mortal realm. In addition, it was a golden age for cultivation. There were many cultivators who became emperors before 20 years old. However, the resources that these people received were incomparable to the Xia brothers. The reason why they were able to break through to this realm at the age of 20 was firstly because of their talent, and secondly because of their hard work. I'll be careful, Lin Feng said. Then, he and the Snow Maiden flew in the direction of the blood-colored mountain range. The blood-colored mountain range was more than 50 miles away from the Xia family village. With Lin Feng's speed, he could reach it in less than 15 minutes. Not long later, Lin Feng and the Snow Maiden arrived outside the blood-colored mountain range. The blood-colored mountain range was filled with a terrifying aura. There were extremely powerful restrictions in the air. After sensing the powerful restrictions in the blood-colored mountain range, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Although he hadn't entered yet, he could already sense how terrifying the restrictions were. Wait for me here. I'll go in and take a look myself, Lin Feng said. I'll go in with you, the Snow Maiden said. Lin Feng said, I'm afraid that I won't be able to take care of you. I should be the one taking care of you, the Snow Maiden said. Lin Feng said, Your cultivation level is indeed much higher than mine. However, you're far inferior to me in terms of formations. The restrictions in this place are extremely terrifying. We have to deal with them carefully. Otherwise, who knows what terrifying things will happen? If you go in with me and encounter danger, the two of us will be too big of a target. Right now, you waiting for me outside is the best choice. If I really run into danger, I will take the initiative to retreat. The Snow Maiden also knew that Lin Feng's method was the best. She gave up on the idea of going in. The Snow Maiden nodded and said, All right. Then I won't go in. I'll wait for you outside. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief when the Snow Maiden agreed. Convincing the Snow Maiden wasn't an easy task. He walked into the blood-colored mountain range. A blood-colored mist pervaded the blood-colored mountain range. No one knew how this blood-colored mountain range was formed. The restrictions in the blood-colored mountain range were extremely terrifying. There were even some restrictions floating in the air. Any cultivator who entered had to be extremely careful. If they came into contact with any of the restrictions, the consequences would be extremely terrifying. It was even possible for him to die. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Hence, Lin Feng had always been very careful. There were a total of 3 mountains in the mountain range. Lin Feng didn't see the ancient blood-colored tree on the first mountain. Lin Feng crossed the first mountain and arrived between the first and second mountains. This was a huge basin. In the basin, there was a blood-colored pool. This is... Lin Feng was shocked. When he saw the blood-colored pool, his pupils contracted violently. Could it be that the pool was formed by blood? Lin Feng walked towards the blood-colored pool. Before long, Lin Feng arrived beside the blood-colored pool. He took a closer look and realized that the pool wasn't made of blood. It was a rather strange liquid. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and touched the liquid. In a flash, something terrifying happened. The blood-colored liquid started to corrode Lin Feng's palm. Lin Feng was given a huge fright when he saw this. This was too strange. What the hell was this blood-colored liquid? How could it corrode his palm? Luckily, Lin Feng's physical body was strong enough. If it were anyone else, their palms would have been reduced to white bones by now. Author's note: please recommend monthly tickets. Chapter 45-30. Lin Feng frowned. The liquid in this pool was so strange. It was really strange. He didn't know what this strange liquid was. At this time, Lin Feng suddenly found that his 8-9 mysteries was actively running. What was going on? The 8-9 mysteries was actively running. Could it be that the liquid in this pool could make the 8-9 mysteries evolve? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's face showed a surprised expression. He had been looking for an opportunity to make the 8-9 mysteries break through. But how difficult was it to make the breakthrough? Lin Feng was very clear about this. But now it seemed that he had found a way to make the 8-9 mysteries break through. He just didn't know if it was really as he thought. Lin Feng decided to try running the 8-9 mysteries to see if it could absorb the energy contained in the blood-colored liquid in the pool. When the 8-9 mysteries was running, something amazing happened. The energy contained in the pool quickly gathered toward Lin Feng. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but be overjoyed. It could actually devour the energy in the pool. When he wanted to sleep, someone immediately gave him a pillow. Lin Feng began to absorb the very strange energy. The reason why the liquid had such a strong corrosive effect was because of the extremely strange energy. When the energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's body began to corrode. Lin Feng felt as if he had been thrown into a highly concentrated poison. His body was about to be dissolved. This feeling was terrifying and terrible. And his body also felt an unprecedented pain. That kind of pain was simply unbearable. But Lin Feng kept persevering. What kind of pain had he not experienced? So, Lin Feng could endure any kind of pain. As the strange energy was constantly being devoured by the 8-9 mysteries, the liquid in the pool became clearer and clearer. In the end, all the strange energy in the blood-colored liquid was absorbed by Lin Feng. And Lin Feng's 8-9 mysteries completed the breakthrough. His 8-9 arcane art had successfully broken through to the 5th level. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. He had finally broken through to the 5th level. After breaking through to the 5th level of the 8-9 mysteries, he no longer had to worry about the backlash from the 8-9 mysteries. Of course, Lin Feng knew that the 8-9 mysterious art he practiced was an incomplete version of the 8-9 mysterious art. This 8-9 mysterious art was modified by Lord Turtle. Although it was heaven-defying, the price he had to pay after using it was too great. When Lord Tortoise asked Lin Feng to cultivate the 8-9 mysteries, it was because he had an extremely important task for Lin Feng. Lin Feng was also aware of this. Only cultivators who had cultivated the 8-9 mysteries art were qualified to complete this kind of mission. The matter of Lord Turtle seemed to be extremely important. Now, Lin Feng had successfully cultivated the 8-9 mysterious art, but Lord Turtle had been captured by an unknown powerhouse. Lin Feng would never forget what happened that night. Thunder and lightning flashed, darkness fell, and a terrifying creature appeared and chained Lord Turtle. Then Lord Turtle was captured alive. Lord Turtle was too important to Lin Feng. In Lin Feng's life, he played an extremely important role in Lin Feng's cultivation. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to save Lord Turtle very much. However, for now, Lin Feng hadn't inquired about Lord Turtle. "I don't know where Master is being locked up." Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Then he calmed down. After cultivating the 8-9 mysterious art to the 5th level, Lin Feng could finally relax for the time being. Then Lin Feng planned to continue to go deeper. He hadn't seen the blood-colored ancient tree yet. He hadn't explored the secrets of this place. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't plan to leave for the time being. As Lin Feng was about to walk deeper into the forest, suddenly, Lin Feng seemed to see something at the bottom of the pool. It was a blood-red thing. Lin Feng waved his hand and a powerful suction force surged out. Suddenly, the blood-red thing in the pool flew out. Lin Feng found that it was a crystal. It was Lin Feng's first time seeing a blood-red crystal. When Lin Feng looked at the blood-red crystal, he saw a strange light. Lin Feng's face revealed an extremely shocked expression. Because Lin Feng found that there was an eyeball sealed inside the blood-red crystal. That's right. It was an eyeball. A blood-red eyeball. It was very strange. Could it be that the blood-red color of the pool has something to do with the blood-red eyeball sealed in this crystal? Lin Feng couldn't help but think. He felt that it should be like this. Lin Feng tried to use his divine sense to sense the blood-red eyeball, but Lin Feng's divine sense was blocked by an invisible force. Lin Feng felt that this blood-red eyeball was too strange. He kept the blood-red eyeball in time and space. Then, Lin Feng continued to walk inside. Lin Feng crossed the second mountain and arrived at the middle of the second and third mountain. Here, Lin Feng saw the blood-red ancient tree. What surprised him was that the blood-red ancient tree wasn't very tall. It was only about 2 meters tall. However, the tree trunk was strong and powerful. The bark was like dragon scales. The entire ancient tree gave people the feeling of a strong dragon body. This feeling was so strange, but so strong. Therefore, Lin Feng frowned deeply. Lin Feng tried to get close to the blood-red ancient tree, but it swayed gently. Bang! An invisible force slammed into Lin Feng's body, sending Lin Feng flying. Clang! Lin Feng's body smashed into a rock wall. He felt intense pain all over his body. That was because that invisible force was simply too powerful. Lin Feng's body almost broke apart from the impact. Damn, this ancient tree is so powerful? Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. The ancient tree's strength was beyond his imagination. Lin Feng had thought that he could easily get close to the ancient tree. What is the origin of this ancient blood-red tree? It doesn't look particularly tall. Was it originally this tall, or is it still a young tree? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that this ancient blood-red tree was extraordinary, so Lin Feng wanted to plant it in time and space. Lin Feng continued walking toward the ancient blood-red tree. This time, he was even more cautious. However, when Lin Feng was about 10 meters away from the ancient blood-red tree, it swayed gently again. Another invisible and intangible strength bombarded Lin Feng's body. Just like before, Lin Feng was once again blown away by the invisible and intangible strength. Chapter 45-31. What a scam! Lin Feng couldn't help but wail gloomily. It was just a blood-colored ancient tree, and it might even be a sapling. However, it was so terrifying that even he couldn't get close to it. It was too strange. At this moment, blood-colored energy was emitting from the blood-colored ancient tree. The energy coiled around the blood-colored ancient tree. It seemed to be protecting the blood-colored ancient tree. Could it be that this blood-colored ancient tree has developed its own spirituality? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He kept feeling that there was something strange about the blood-colored ancient tree. Not only was it powerful, but there was also something strange about it. Lin Feng felt that the blood-colored ancient tree might really contain a terrifying spirituality, which was why it knew how to attack him. Of course, this was all just his own guess. As for whether it was true or not, Lin Feng couldn't make a concrete judgment. How should I take this blood-colored ancient tree? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He wanted to take this blood-colored ancient tree, and he wouldn't give up so easily. However, how to obtain this blood-colored ancient tree was a very troublesome problem. This blood-colored ancient tree displayed all kinds of extraordinary characteristics. Moreover, Lin Feng couldn't get close to it at all. This was the most troublesome part. If he couldn't even get close to the blood-colored ancient tree, how could he take it? Lin Feng couldn't help but stroke his chin. What should he do next? At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly felt the world tree, builder tree, sapling in his dantian shake slightly. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Could the world tree sapling and the blood-colored ancient tree sense each other? Could it be the so-called connection of two hearts? Lin Feng tried to communicate with the world tree sapling. After sensing Lin Feng's divine will, the world tree sapling shook even more violently. It seemed to be responding to Lin Feng. "Little guy, can you let me take that blood-colored ancient tree?" Lin Feng asked. The world tree's sapling seemed to understand Lin Feng's words and kept shaking its branches. He seemed to be nodding. Next, a ball of green energy escaped from the sapling of the world tree. That ball of green energy was very special. It contained boundless vitality. There seemed to be something else mixed in as well. Lin Feng felt that it was a message. Could it be a message from the world tree to the ancient blood tree? People could communicate with each other. Animals can also communicate with each other. Therefore, between the trees, could they actually communicate with each other? The green energy from the sapling of the world tree was all absorbed by the blood-colored ancient tree. The blood-colored ancient tree absorbed the green energy. The swaying became more and more intense. The blood-colored ancient tree seemed to be responding to the world tree sapling. Lin Feng tried to approach the blood-colored ancient tree again. Last time, Lin Feng was about 10 meters away from the ancient blood tree when he was attacked by it. Then, he was mercilessly sent flying. But it was different this time. Lin Feng arrived 10 meters away from the ancient blood tree and was not attacked by it. This made Lin Feng's face light up with joy. Could it be the world tree really communicated with the ancient blood tree just now? So, the ancient blood tree was no longer hostile to him? So, now that he was close to the ancient blood tree did not even attack him? Besides this explanation, there seemed to be no other reason to explain why the ancient blood tree did not attack him anymore. This made Lin Feng very happy. Because Lin Feng saw the hope of getting the ancient blood tree. Although he did not know what kind of species the ancient blood tree was. However, Lin Feng knew how extraordinary the ancient blood tree was. Regardless of other things, he would take the ancient blood tree first. Maybe the ancient blood tree would play a key role in the future. Lin Feng was naturally looking forward to it. He continued to walk toward the ancient blood tree. The ancient blood tree did not attack Lin Feng. Finally, Lin Feng came to the ancient blood tree. The branches of the ancient blood tree swayed slightly, gently brushing Lin Feng's body. It was as if it was caressing Lin Feng. Lin Feng sensed that the blood-red ancient tree was friendly to him. This made Lin Feng very happy. Because the ancient blood tree should have recognized him. This was much easier. As long as the ancient blood tree recognized him. This meant that Lin Feng had a good chance to take the ancient blood tree. From now on, the Tree of World will be your partner. I will take you to all the mountains and rivers and let you see what the scenery of each world is like, Lin Feng said. The ancient blood tree swayed gently. It seemed to be responding to Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng did not understand the language of the tree tribe, so he did not know what the ancient blood tree was saying. Lin Feng tried to put the ancient blood tree into the time and space. However, at this time, the ancient blood tree turned into a ray of bloody light. Then it flew into Lin Feng's dantian. In the end, the ancient blood tree took root in Lin Feng's dantian. Lin Feng looked at his dantian. After seeing this scene, he was very shocked. Did the ancient blood tree want to be a partner with the Tree of World? It seemed that the ancient blood tree must have an extraordinary origin. The harvest this time was too great. First, he cultivated the 8-9 arcane art to the 5th level. Then, he took the ancient blood tree. Lin Feng planned to leave this place. However, at this time, a slight fluctuation came from the depths. Therefore, the fluctuation was not strong, but Lin Feng still felt it. Lin Feng looked into the depths and saw a cave. That wave of energy just now seemed to have come from that cave. What is the fluctuation coming from? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. He walked towards the cave. Perhaps he would be able to find some other treasures. Soon, Lin Feng came to the entrance of the cave. Lin Feng looked inside. He found that the inside of the cave was pitch black. He could not see anything. It seemed that this cave was quite deep. Lin Feng walked into the cave. This passage was very deep. Lin Feng walked in, and the sound of his footsteps could be heard. The rhythmic footsteps sounded a little strange in such a quiet environment. Lin Feng also felt that the passage was filled with an eerie and terrifying aura. After walking for about an hour, a huge belly of the mountain appeared in front of him. Lin Feng entered the belly of the mountain. When he entered, he saw that there were many skeletons scattered in the belly of the mountain. Many of the skeletons had a special color. For example, some of the skeletons were jade-colored while others were golden in color. Generally, only extremely powerful experts would have such a change in their skeletons. Clearly, the cultivators who died here had extraordinary backgrounds. Chapter 45-32. The cultivators who died here were all experts. Lin Feng was very puzzled. He didn't know how these experts died here. There was something strange about this matter. He walked inside and came in front of some skeletons. Then, he took off their storage rings. Lin Feng tried to sense their storage rings. There must be a lot of good things in the storage rings of these peerless experts. But it was a pity. When Lin Feng's godly awareness penetrated the man's ring, Lin Feng found that those storage rings were all damaged storage rings. It was completely impossible to get the things in those storage rings. Those storage rings had been destroyed by the power of time. Lin Feng didn't find it strange. Because time was the most terrifying power. He had seen many storage rings destroyed by the power of time. In fact, it wasn't just storage rings. Sometimes it was the same for people. They would be destroyed by the power of time. In the end, they would die. And the power of time was destined to be irresistible. Lin Feng took a closer look. He found that there should be more than a dozen skeletons here. Some of the skeletons still contained a trace of energy. But some of the skeletons had long decayed to an extreme extent. With a light bang, it seemed to be about to collapse. They weren't the same batch of cultivators who came in. There were some years in between. Seeing this situation, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. There were so many people, but they weren't the same batch of cultivators who came in. Perhaps they were divided into several batches or even more than a dozen batches that entered at different times. Then, they all died here. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. What kind of secret was hidden in this place? It was actually so terrifying. It was unbelievable. It made one turn pale with fright. Lin Feng planned to quickly search this place to see if there were any treasures left behind. Then, he would quickly leave this place. That's... Suddenly, Lin Feng saw something under a skeleton. He quickly walked over and came to the side of the skeleton. Then, he picked up the thing. Lin Feng looked carefully and found that the thing he picked up was actually a golden seal. What is this golden seal? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. Bang! At this moment, an invisible force swept over Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was swept away by the invisible force, and then his body slammed into the rock wall. Lin Feng was shocked. There really was a terrifying existence hibernating here. Did all those dead cultivators die here because of this existence? Lin Feng hurriedly summoned his ruler's armor to protect himself. Just as the ruler's armor appeared, another wave of invisible power swept over Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was sent flying again. However, Lin Feng, who was wearing the ruler's armor, felt much better than before. Hiding your head but showing your tail, get out here! Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. However, the other party did not appear. An even stronger force slammed into Lin Feng's body. That force sent Lin Feng flying for the third time. This time, Lin Feng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This existence was too terrifying. More importantly, this guy had been hiding in the dark. He did not know where he was. Ancient Buddha skeleton. Come out. Lin Feng communicated with the ancient Buddha skeleton in the Chonlu Devil Palace. Lin Feng summoned the ancient Buddha skeleton. Then, endless holy light surged out of the skeleton. Namo Amitabha. When Lin Feng's magic power poured into the ancient Buddha skeleton began to speak golden words. Holy light lingered, and Buddhist light filled the sky. As the holy light and Buddhist light intertwined, the existence in the darkness could no longer hide. Lin Feng saw this existence. This was a creature that was entirely black in color. It stood upright on its hind legs. Its hands were like the palms of a devil. Its head was like a centipede and a mantis. It had a tail like a crocodile. It was ugly and ferocious. When Lin Feng saw this existence, his face could not help but become extremely ugly. A foreign creature. This existence was actually a foreign creature. When he was in the mortal world, Lin Feng had actually come into contact with foreign creatures many times. He had even killed many of them. However, those foreign creatures in the mortal world had often just broken out of the seal and their strength had fallen greatly. There was no way they could be compared to this foreign creature in front of him. Hee. This foreign creature let out a sinister laugh. It directly leaped up and charged towards Lin Feng. 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram. Lin Feng waved his hand. The 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram flew out. The 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram was extremely effective against foreign creatures. When the 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram flew out, it immediately collided fiercely with the foreign creature. The 3 pure 8 trigrams diagram, this supreme treasure, was actually sent flying by the foreign creature. This foreign creature's cultivation was just too powerful. It's useless. I've even killed a true immortal before, let alone you. The foreign creature let out a sinister laugh. It continued to pounce towards Lin Feng. The ancient Buddha skeleton struck out with a palm. Foreign ancestor's sacred fist. The foreign creature laughed sinisterly. He was fearless. He used the supreme divine ability passed down from the foreign world and collided with the ancient Buddha skeleton. The ancient Buddha skeleton was very powerful, but this foreign creature's cultivation was even more powerful. After all, the ancient Buddha skeleton was just a skeleton. Moreover, the ancient Buddha skeleton's true nemesis was Yin spirits and evil beings. It was not the foreign creature. Therefore, when the ancient Buddha skeleton collided with the foreign creature, the ancient Buddha skeleton was also unable to block the foreign creature's attack. After the foreign creature sent the ancient Buddha skeleton flying, the foreign creature then pounced towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was its ultimate target. Lin Feng took out more than 10 powerful magic treasures and attacked the foreign creature. Those magic treasures contained unimaginable terrifying power. The power of each magic treasure was extremely heaven-defying. However, when those magic treasures were about to hit the foreign creature's body, the void runes around the foreign creature swirled. Those runes flew out. Then, many of Lin Feng's magic treasures were sent flying. The situation was naturally extremely bad for Lin Feng. Brat, die! The foreign creature's sharp claws slashed over. Lin Feng felt threatened. The foreign creature in front of him was abnormally powerful. Lin Feng wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. The situation was extremely dangerous. Right at this moment, the golden seal in Lin Feng's hand. It actually emitted waves of intense fluctuations. I am the Demon Emperor! Invincible in the world! Suddenly, a voice sounded from the golden seal. In the next moment, the golden seal revealed a man in an imperial robe. Chapter 45-33. The man in the imperial robe was very blurry, and his appearance could not be seen clearly. However, since he claimed to be a demon emperor, obviously, he was in existence comparable to an ancient saint emperor. There were not many demon emperors in the era of the titled gods. There was a famous demon emperor, and everyone should know about him. He was the demon emperor Tai. He was the demon emperor who built the heavenly court with the demon emperor Dijun. There were also some other demon emperors, such as the Golden Rock Demon Emperor, the Sacred Battle Demon Emperor, and the Myriad Demon Emperor. They were all famous demon emperors in history. Of course, there were definitely some demon emperors. After all, there was a lot of missing history after the era of the titled gods. How is this possible? How are you still able to manifest yourself? When it saw the demon emperor, the foreign creature roared in shock. It could not even believe what it saw. Slash! The demon emperor looked at the foreign creature with an indifferent expression. Then, his body turned into a dazzling beam of light and shot towards the foreign creature. The foreign creature had a gloomy expression. It was very powerful, even when facing the demon emperor's attack. It still appeared very calm. This foreign creature also struck out with a palm, blasting towards the demon emperor. Bang! Then, when the two terrifying existences collided, a terrifying scene appeared. The surrounding void was torn apart. The laws of the undying world were so powerful that their attacks could actually crack the void of the undying world. From this, it could be seen how unbelievably powerful the attacks of these two people were. Lin Feng was also very shocked. The demon emperor was indeed a demon emperor. Even though it was only an illusory figure that appeared, it was also ridiculously powerful. Bang! 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 The demon emperor and the foreign creature fought fiercely. Both sides collided again and again. Every time they collided, earth-shaking sounds of violent collisions could be heard. After all, the demon emperor was only an illusory figure of the golden seal. Therefore, it could not exist for long. After a series of battles, the demon emperor's strength had begun to decline greatly. Lin Feng also noticed this situation. Therefore, Lin Feng knew that he had to leave quickly. If he did not leave now, he would not be able to escape later. After Lin Feng put away his Dharma treasure, he quickly rushed outside. The foreign creature wanted to stop Lin Feng, but he was held back by the demon emperor. Damn it! The foreign creature couldn't help but roar angrily, sending a palm strike at the demon emperor. Lin Feng rushed into the passage and quickly left. After a short time, Lin Feng sensed a gloomy and terrifying qi behind him. It's chasing after me. Lin Feng frowned. The foreign cultivators were chasing after them. It should have already destroyed the demon emperor. Demon emperoress. The foreign creature's speed was inconceivably fast. Lin Feng could clearly sense that the terrifying cultivator was getting closer and closer to him. Lin Feng used his speed to increase the speed of the deployment spell. But even so, the foreign creatures were still quickly approaching him. The main reason was because the foreign creature's strength was too great. So, the foreign creature's speed was also very fast. When Lin Feng was about 200 to 300 meters away from the exit, he was caught up by the foreign creature. The foreign creature appeared and said with a sinister smile, "Kid! You're dead! I'm going to eat your flesh and blood!" As soon as he said that, the foreign creature pounced at Lin Feng. When the foreign creature pounced at Lin Feng, its speed also reached the peak. This guy's speed could actually increase again. Lin Feng could not help but be extremely shocked. The other side's creatures grasped some extremely strange and terrifying methods. No wonder when the foreign creatures invaded this era suffered such heavy losses. It was mainly because these foreign creatures were too powerful. They were so powerful that it made one's heart tremble. Heaven patching technique. When the foreign creature pounced at him, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique in time. His body disappeared in advance. Swoosh! With a flash of light, Lin Feng was already outside the cave when he appeared again. The foreign creature missed. The foreign creature wanted to rush out of the cave to chase after Lin Feng. But at this moment, runes surrounded the entrance of the cave. The foreign creature's body collided with the runes and was immediately bounced back by the runes. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng could finally heave a sigh of relief. The foreign creature seemed to have been sealed in the cave. Could it be a large foreign creature sealed by a certain expert who died in the cave? Or was it another expert? Lin Feng could not figure it out. He looked at the golden seal. This golden seal definitely hid a huge secret. But Lin Feng also knew that this was not the time to explore the secret of the golden seal. He had to leave the blood-colored mountain range first. Lin Feng walked out of the blood-colored mountain range and met up with the snow lady outside. Seeing Lin Feng come out safely, the snow lady was very happy. "Did you get anything?" the snow lady asked. "Of course. And I got a lot. Let's go back and talk, Lin Feng said. Okay. The Snow Lady nodded. At the same time, Xia family village. Many children were sitting in the 5 ancient cauldrons and tempering their bodies. At this moment, dozens of cultivators flew over from afar. Young master, look! The 5 ancient cauldrons in the village have 5 golden dragons. They are really extraordinary. The 5 ancient cauldrons are definitely precious treasures. Suddenly, a cultivator pointed at the Xia family village. These mountain villagers actually have such precious treasures? It's like casting pearls before swine. The young master in the lead looked at the 5 ancient cauldrons with a shocked expression. Then, the group of people quickly flew towards the Xia family village and hovered above it. Seeing the sudden appearance of the group of people, the people of the Xia family village were naturally terrified. Although they had a certain level of strength, there was still a huge gap between them and these top experts. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were a bunch of ants. Hand over the 5 ancient cauldrons, a cultivator said. This person was called Jiangsu. He was an emperor-level cultivator. Although he was not very powerful, he was clearly not someone the people of the Xia family village could compare to. Naturally, the young master did not need to do something as trivial as collecting the 5 ancient cauldrons. Exalted immortals, although these 5 ancient cauldrons are passed down from our ancestors, they can only be used to temper the body. They have no other use. Please be magnanimous, the old village chief said with a pleading expression. How dare you call these supreme-grade body-tempering immortal cauldrons ordinary cauldrons? Even immortals can use these ancient cauldrons, the young master in the lead said indifferently. Old thing. Hurry up and hand over the 5 ancient cauldrons. If you don't hand them over, do you think I won't destroy your village? Jiangsu's eyes were filled with killing intent. Chapter 45-34. These people were naturally the type to kill without batting an eyelid. Therefore, when he heard that these people wanted to kill him, the old village chief's expression changed drastically. When the old village chief was young, he had gone out to train for a period of time, so he knew how ruthless these people were. Therefore, even though he did not want to hand over the 5 ancient cauldrons, however, for the lives of the entire village, the old village chief had no choice but to do so. Hand it over, well, hand it over, the old village chief said. Grandfather, village chief. Many people looked at the old village chief. The ancient cauldrons were extraordinary. Perhaps they could change the fate of many children. Naturally, they did not want to hand over the ancient cauldrons. Don't say any more. Hand over the ancient cauldrons, the old village chief berated, afraid that these villagers would say something wrong and suffer a calamity. These people would kill at the slightest disagreement. How could they give them a chance to explain? Many people gritted their teeth in hatred. However, no one had any other choice. They could only do as the old village chief said. The children who were soaking in the medicinal bath jumped out of the ancient cauldrons. Then, the 5 ancient cauldrons were collected by the leading young master. Then, this group of people quickly left. After leaving the village, the leading young master said, These 5 ancient cauldrons are extraordinary. Why would such villagers have such ancient cauldrons? There is something fishy about this. If some experts in their clan joined the outside forces or if some talented people were traveling outside, it would be an unstable factor. Jiangsu, go and get rid of them. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Yes, this subordinate will go and get rid of those lowly people, Jiangsu said and quickly left the group. Not long after, Jiangsu returned to the village. Old village chief, that person is here again. Someone saw Jiangsu and said loudly. The old village chief led a group of people out. The ancient cauldrons have been handed over to you. Is there anything else? The old village chief asked. Jiangsu laughed sinisterly and said, The ancient cauldrons are not bad. Our young master likes them very much. In order to thank you all, our young master asked me to come and send off your entire village. Hearing this, Everyone's expression changed. Jiangsu rushed towards the old village chief and the others and slammed his palm over. All of you, escape! Escape as many people as you can! The old village chief shouted loudly. Then he rushed towards Jiangsu. The old village chief also slapped Jiangsu. Bang! Both sides fiercely clashed with their palms. The old village chief was directly sent flying, vomiting a large mouthful of blood in midair. Old chief, let's fight it out with him! Many people saw that the village chief was beaten to the point of vomiting blood. Their eyes turned blood red. They rushed forward, wanting to fight Jiangsu to the death. Hurry up and leave! Do you want to see your village destroyed? The old village head shouted at the top of his lungs. He charged at Jiangsu again. The old village head's body began to burn. He was burning his own source to increase his combat strength. This was the only method the old village chief could think of. He wanted to use this method to increase his combat strength. Then, he would stall Jiangsu and buy time for the others. Let's go, the other villagers said with tears in their eyes. Someone pulled back Xia Zongshan and Xia Zongjuan, who had rushed forward to fight Jiangsu. Tell them not to throw their lives away. The old village head was once again sent flying by Jiangsu and couldn't help but vomit blood again. Even if the old village chief burned his origin, he was no match for Jiangsu. Old man, if you want to play, I'll slowly play you to death. However, the others won't be able to escape. Jiangsu's face revealed a sinister expression. He waved his hand. A dense swarm of poisonous insects flew out. Those poisonous insects turned out to be a type of flying spider. They blotted out the sky and covered the earth. There were countless of them. Those poisonous insects pounced on the villagers of Xia village. Does the heavens want my Xia village to be destroyed? The old village chief cried out in grief. Screams of agony could be heard one after another. Many people had already been pounced on by the swarm of insects and were eaten to the bone. The old village chief was sent flying by Jiangsu again. His injuries had worsened. The old village chief could clearly feel that he couldn't hold on much longer. The situation. It was extremely bad. The Xia village could be destroyed at any moment. At that moment, a cluster of flames burned in the air. Then, the cluster of flames grew bigger and bigger. Very quickly, they surged in all directions like they were blotting out the sky. The flames burned fiercely. A large number of poisonous insects were burned to ashes. Jiangsu, who was about to kill the old village chief, saw this scene and his face became extremely gloomy. Who is it? Jiangsu said coldly. It's me. A cold voice came from behind Jiangsu. Jiangsu turned around and saw a young cultivator who had appeared out of nowhere. This young cultivator was Lin Feng, who had just returned to the Xia village. You're courting death. When Jiangsu saw how young Lin Feng was, he already had a look of disdain. He attacked Lin Feng with his palm. Lin Feng waved his right hand and a sword aura surged out. Puchi! That sword aura directly cut off Jiangsu's arm. Blood immediately spurted out. Ah! Jiangsu let out an incomparably shrill scream. You, who are you? I'm young Master Yuanshan's man. If you dare to kill me, young Master Yuanshan won't let you go. Jiangsu looked at Lin Feng in horror. He used young Master Yuanshan to scare Lin Feng. Who is young Master Yuanshan? Lin Feng asked indifferently. Jiangsu was slightly stunned. This kid in front of him had not heard of young Master Yuanshan? Where did this country bumpkin come from? Of course. Jiangsu did not dare to say these words out loud. He said, Young Master Yuanshan is the son of Supreme Lord Umo, one of the top 10 wandering cultivators in the Xin domain. Do you know how powerful my background is? If you let me go now, you can still live. Otherwise, you're dead meat, Jiangsu said. So what if I kill you? I'll kill you first, then I'll kill that young Master Yuanshan. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he slashed out with his sword aura. A popping sound could be heard. Jiangsu was cut in half by Lin Feng. Lin Feng then flew towards the old village chief. Snow Lady was also saving the other villagers. Thank goodness young master came back in time. Otherwise, our Xia village would have been destroyed, the old village chief said weakly. His fire of life was already on the verge of death. Lin Feng said, Old village chief, don't say anything else. I'll help you treat your injuries. My heart meridian was broken just now. I've been holding on for so long. I can't hold on anymore. Young master, I know you're a good person. After I die, can you help me take care of the people of Xia village? The old village chief looked at Lin Feng with pleading eyes. Grandpa, you won't die. Old village chief, you'll be fine. Xia Zongshan, Xia Zongjuan, and many other villagers said sorrowfully. Chapter 45-35. The villagers were very dependent on the old village chief, and the old village chief was also a person of virtue and prestige in the hearts of the villagers. Therefore, everyone hoped that the old village chief could live a good life. However, most of the time, it was not about what you wanted. What could you do? Lin Feng tried to use the Great Fate technique to change the old village chief's fate. However, Lin Feng failed. Some people's fates could be changed. Some people's fates could not be changed. For example, Yuan Tian's fate could be changed. This was because one only needed to change Yuan Tian's life aura and innate fate to change Yuan Tian's fate. However, the old village chief was different. Now, Lin Feng wanted to change the old village chief's fate, which was equivalent to bringing a dead person back to life. Naturally, the Great Fate technique could not do this. It was estimated that no one could do this because this was too heaven-defying. I will take good care of them, Lin Feng said. Thank you, Lin Gongzi. The old village chief looked at Lin Feng gratefully. Then, he looked at his two grandsons, Xia Zongshan and Xia Zongjuan. Zongshan, Zongjuan, you must listen to Lin Gongzi in the future, the old village chief said. Now, he was most worried about his two grandsons. When they were 3 years old, their parents died tragically. Then, he raised the two brothers. The relationship between grandfather and grandson was too deep. The two brothers shed tears and said in unison, We will listen to Lin Gongzi. Grandfather, you will definitely get better. The old village chief revealed a trace of a smile. After saying his last words, he closed his eyes and lost all signs of life. Grandfather, grandfather, old village chief. Seeing the old village chief die, many people cried sorrowfully. Lin Feng stood up and stood together with the Snow Lady, watching these people cry for the old village chief's death. They could not help but feel a sense of sadness in their hearts. The old village chief died tragically to save everyone. This made Lin Feng think of his third uncle, Lin Xiong. Didn't his third uncle die tragically to save him? When he died, not even his bones remained. He had killed Dugu Aotian back then. However, the dead third uncle could not be resurrected. This had always been the pain in Lin Feng's heart. In addition, Lin Feng could do nothing when he saw Hui Han die tragically in order to save him. There was also Huang Linger's death. Back then, he wanted to save Huang Linger so badly, but he failed. This was the pain in Lin Feng's heart. It wasn't just Lin Feng. The Snow Maidens had also experienced far too many life and death separations. Now that he saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but feel sorrowful and sad. Other than the old village chief, there were more than 20 villagers who had died tragically. These dead villagers were all buried by everyone. Lin Feng found a villager and asked him about what had happened. Lin Feng understood the ins and outs of the situation. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown deeply. An ordinary man is innocent. Treasures arouse the envy of others. The tragedy of Xia family village was caused by the possession of 5 ancient cauldrons. Generally speaking, cultivators wouldn't pass by a place like Xia family village. Even if cultivators passed by, they wouldn't pay attention to an ordinary mountain village. But this time, it was a coincidence. When young Master Yuan Shan and his group passed by, Xia family village was using the 5 ancient cauldrons to temper the children's bodies. That was why the tragedy happened. But what made Lin Feng the most angry was that this young Master Yuan Shan was too ruthless. The 5 ancient cauldrons had already been handed over to you. Just leave after obtaining the ancient cauldrons. Why did he send people to massacre the village? Young Master Yuan Shan really deserved to die. I'll cut off young Master Yuan Shan's head and sacrifice it to the old village chief and the others, Lin Feng said. His heart was burning with anger. Firstly, it was because of young Master Yuan Shan. Secondly, it was because of himself. If he hadn't promised the old village chief to repair the 5 ancient cauldrons for Xia family village, would today's incident have happened? If he and the Snow Maidens had returned earlier, would today's incident have happened? Lin Feng blamed himself. He was also very angry. He wanted to kill. He wanted to kill like never before. I'll go with you, the Snow Maiden said. Lin Feng said, You stay behind and take care of Xia family village. I alone am enough. The Snow Maidens understood Lin Feng's current feelings. Hearing Lin Feng's words, she nodded and said, Okay. Then you be careful. Lin Feng nodded and flew in the direction the villager had pointed out. That direction was the direction young Master Yuan Shan was heading towards. Even these villagers knew of young Master Yuan Shan's reputation. From this, it could be seen how extraordinary young Master Yuan Shan was. Lin Feng also understood some things about young Master Yuan Shan from the villagers. For example, young Master Yuan Shan's father was one of the top 10 wandering cultivators in Xin Domain. Young Master Yuan Shan's own cultivation was also unfathomable, and so on. But Lin Feng didn't care about all these. He only had one thought, and that was to kill young Master Yuan Shan and let him accompany the old village chief and the others in death. Sky Mountain City. One of the famous ancient cities in Xin Domain. Young Master Yuan Shan was currently in Sky Mountain City. This time, young Master Yuan Shan came to Sky Mountain City to participate in a gathering. This gathering was organized by one of the top 10 beauties in the Undying Realm, Fairy Hua Lingxian. Hua Lingxian's background was extremely extraordinary. It was said that Hua Lingxian was a holy spirit that was born from a celestial flower. Not only was she powerful, she also had a peerless appearance. Among the top 10 fairies, she was one of the best. Countless people adored Hua Lingxian, and countless people did not hesitate to cross several regions in order to see Hua Lingxian. The reason why Hua Lingxian organized this gathering in Xin Domain. It was said that Hua Lingxian was born in Xin Domain. Back then, Hua Lingxian was born from a celestial flower. The supreme demon empress of the demon race, Demon Empress Feng Shi, passed by. When she saw the celestial flower, she picked it. Later on, Hua Lingxian was born from the celestial flower. And Demon Empress Feng Shi took Hua Lingxian as her disciple. Hua Lingxian cultivated for 300 years, but her cultivation was unfathomable. It was said that she was undefeated against some of the 8 great young masters. From this, it could be seen how powerful Hua Lingxian's cultivation was. Of course, no matter how powerful Hua Lingxian was, she was only a junior. The truly terrifying one was her master, Demon Empress Feng Shi. It was said that Demon Empress Feng Shi was an extremely ancient existence. The Undying Realm's demon race had 3 sovereigns and 1 empress. All of them were at the true immortal realm. The 3 sovereigns and 1 empress were all extremely ancient. Their cultivation was exceedingly high. In addition, Demon Empress Feng Shi was transformed from a phoenix. That made Demon Empress Feng Shi even more terrifying. This was because everyone knew that the phoenix race was very powerful. It was one of the strongest bloodlines in the demon race. Moreover, the phoenix nirvana technique was unparalleled. Therefore, countless people wanted to marry Hua Lingxian. It wasn't just because Hua Lingxian was beautiful. Many people also valued the powerful faction behind Hua Lingxian. Chapter 45-36. This time, many top geniuses came to the gathering held by Hua Lingxian. Because the matter in the extreme north had caused a huge commotion, especially after the news of Lin Baitian's son, Lin Feng, had spread, it caused a huge uproar. And the extreme north was right next to the Sin realm. As a result, many people came to the Sin realm to inquire about Lin Feng. Only they themselves knew why those powers were inquiring about Lin Feng. But it was obvious that most of them wanted to capture Lin Feng and go to Crown Prince Di Wudao in exchange for rewards. As for the top experts of the younger generation of the Undying Realm, they also wanted to suppress Lin Feng. They wanted to let Lin Feng know how powerful the experts of the younger generation of the Undying Realm were. They wanted to let Lin Feng know that Lin Feng did not have the qualifications to behave atrociously in the Undying Realm. The Heaven Peak Tower was the largest restaurant in the Heaven Peak city. People came and went, and it was extremely lively. But today, because of the gathering of the young geniuses of the Undying Realm, the Heaven Peak Tower was no longer open for business. They only served the young geniuses who came to the gathering. A large number of cultivators rushed over. Those who were able to participate in this gathering were all extraordinary. They all had powerful forces behind them, even if they didn't have a powerful force. But they often had extremely terrifying cultivations. However, ordinary geniuses did not have the qualifications to reach the top floor. The Heaven Peak Tower had a total of 7 floors, and the top floor referred to the 7th floor. This was the place where the top geniuses gathered. There weren't many people, only a few dozen of them. Young Master Yuan Shan was a worldly immortal stage cultivator, although there was still a huge gap between him and the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm. But in reality, young Master Yuan Shan was already one of the best among the younger generation. Because young Master Yuan Shan had cultivated until now. It had only been 400 years. He hadn't cultivated for long, so being able to break through to the worldly immortal stage was naturally extraordinary. One after another, a few top-notch young masters arrived and walked towards the 7th floor. I heard that young Master Mingyu is also in the Sin realm. I wonder if young Master Mingyu will come? A cultivator said. Young Master Mingyu was one of the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm. At such a young age, his cultivation was heaven-defying. His every move naturally attracted attention. I don't think so, because the 8th-level palace has deep enmity with the demons, another cultivator said. The Baji Palace is the supporter of Crown Prince Di Wudao, and Di Wudao is the Crown Prince of the Heavenly Court. The relationship between the Heavenly Court and the monster race is indeed terrible. They were like fire and water. It's normal for young Master Mingyu to not come, another cultivator said. It is said that young Master Xingyu is also in the Sin domain, another cultivator said. Then someone said, Brother, you are too ill-informed. Young Master Xingyu has already left the Sin domain. Obviously. Although there were many, Gongzi, in the Undying Realm. However, the top young masters were still the 8 great young masters. Young Master Mingyu and young Master Xingyu were among the 8 great young masters. As for young Master Yuan Shan, compared to young Master Mingwei, young Master Xingyu was much weaker. Young Master Shuiyu has arrived. Just at this moment, a commotion came from outside. A man wearing a green robe stepped into the Heavenly Peak Tower. He was a very handsome young master, but his eyes were very scary. It was a pair of eyes that could make people sink into them. If anyone looked into those eyes, they would definitely sink into them and be unable to extricate themselves. Behind young Master Shuiyu was the famous 9 Underworld Devil Palace in the Undying Realm. This was a top force of the Devil Dao. Young Master Shuiyu was one of the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm. His Devil Dao was monstrous, and no one dared to provoke him. Now that young Master Shuiyu had appeared, it naturally caused quite a stir. Many people came forward to greet him. However, young Master Shuiyu's expression was indifferent. He did not care about the people around him, but the surrounding geniuses did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. Young Master Shuiyu was too powerful. No one dared to offend him. Young Master Shuiyu arrived at the 7th floor. When he arrived, there were already dozens of cultivators gathered here. Many of their expressions changed when they saw young Master Shuiyu. Young Master Shuiyu was definitely a terrifying existence. I heard that fairy was in the heavenly peak city, so I hurried over. I am extremely happy to see fairy here. Young Master Shuiyu said with a smile. Young Master Shuiyu was a cold and emotionless person. However, this did not mean that young Master Shuiyu did not like women. On the contrary, young Master Shuiyu never lacked women. As long as he took a fancy to a woman, he would do all he could to get her. Many people knew that young Master Shuiyu was pursuing Hua Lingxian. However, Hua Lingxian had never agreed to his request. The Devil Dao and the Devil Dao had a closer relationship. Therefore, even if she did not agree to his request, Hua Lingxian could not completely cut off her relationship with him. After all, there were many opportunities for them to meet. So it's young Master Shuiyu. Please take a seat. Hua Lingxian smiled. She was wearing a light blue dress. Many beautiful flowers were embroidered on it. She looked like a flower fairy, full of immortal energy and spiritual energy. Looking at her more than once would make people feel like they were blaspheming her. This was Hua Lingxian, a fairy born from an immortal flower. She was so otherworldly and beautiful. Young Master Shuiyu sat on the first seat on the left. He smiled faintly and asked, "What was everyone talking about earlier?" A genius said. "We were talking about Lin Baitian's son, Lin Feng." Young Master Shuiyu said indifferently, "I came here for him. I heard that he has the undying sinner's blood. I want to use his undying sinner's blood to refine an immortal pill." The corners of many people's mouths twitched when they heard young Master Shuiyu's words. Refining humans into pills was a taboo, even more so in the undying world. Even if someone did it in private, no one would openly talk about it. However, young Master Shuiyu had said it without hesitation. From this, one could see how arrogant he was. Young Master Yuanshan's relationship with young Master Yu was pretty good. That was because young Master Yuanshan's father was also an expert of the Devil Path. It was normal for Devil Path experts to interact with each other. That was why young Master Yuanshan and young Master Yu had known each other for a long time. Young Master Yuanshan said, "I've also heard about Lin Feng. I heard that he obtained the Hou-Yi Bao and the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman and slaughtered his way through the extreme north. However, according to what I know, his cultivation realm isn't very high. Back then, he was only able to release the Hou-Yi Bao's power because of the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman. But that was a coincidence. The ancestral Magus Jade Talisman sensed the Hou-Yi Bao's aura and automatically awakened. Normally, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to use the ancestral Magus Jade Talisman, so he wouldn't be able to release the Hou-Yi Bao's power. Without the Hou-Yi Bao, what is Lin Feng? There's no need for Brother Shuiyu to take action. All you need to do is send a subordinate to deal with Lin Feng. For Brother Shuiyu to personally take action is an insult to you. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.